Chapter 45. Kong Zhong, Lu Feng, and Dan Hongning were all shocked. Was this the legendary Big Sister? She was as beautiful as a fairy, and her whole body exuded a kind aura. She didn't have the slightest murderous aura. Okay, you guys quickly follow Brother Yun's instructions and take these people away. Chong was now their superior, so of course, he spoke with confidence. Okay. Although they didn't know how to deal with it, Kong Zhong and the others could only agree. Qin Wan who had returned to the medicinal cuisine house after work, had been eavesdropping at the door for a while, but no one had noticed her. Hearing that someone was going to lynch, Qin Wan finally couldn't help it. Who gave you the right to privately detain people? Qin Wan said slowly. She walked into the medicinal cuisine house and stared at Su Yun, who had instigated this. Do you know what the police do? Chong stuck out his tongue and quickly hid behind Su Yun. Damn, why was this sister here again? The three tigers of Nanqing heard the voice and suddenly turned around. They couldn't help but gasp. What the F***ck? Wasn't this Qin Wan who was now popular in the Hadong City police force? The violent policewoman who had single-handedly defeated Wang Xuanqi's fourth wolf gang. Huh? Qin Wan frowned. These three people looked a bit familiar. The three tigers of Nanqing definitely had a lot of dealings with the police station. Usually, after a fight, they would personally go to the police station to bail out the underlings. Qin Wan had to be familiar with them. Before the three tigers of Nanqing spoke, Qin Wan had some impression. So it's the three of you who came here to cause trouble. Have we met in the station? Kong Zhong's face was full of smiles. As he spoke, he had already turned his gaze to Su Yun. Officer Qin, we wouldn't dare. This isn't our fault. Yes, Police Officer Qin, how would we dare to cause trouble in your area? Dan Hongning also looked at Su Yun intentionally or unintentionally. Lu Feng had suffered losses in the hands of Qin Wan before. Now that Qin Wan fame had spread in the underworld, he did not dare to say anything. However, his purpose was the same as the other two. They all quietly turned Qin Wan spearhead to Su Yun. Su Yun looked at Qin Wan helplessly. Nothing good would come out of her appearance. Wei Weiming and his men would not be needed tomorrow. You got off work so early today? Do you miss me? Qin Wan stared at Su Yun and said, Miss your ass. What are you doing? What's going on? Aren't you going to explain it to me? They beat up my workers, and now they're here looking for trouble. I can't just ignore them, right? Su Yun pointed at the half-dead Wei Weiming and the group of bruised men. Qin Wan gritted her teeth and said, Do you have to do it yourself? Why didn't you call the police? I'm afraid you'll be busy. Su Yun's excuse was too unreliable. Hearing that Qin Wan had returned, Guagua ran downstairs again and rushed into Qin Wan's arms with a bright face. Sister Wan, so you know Miss Su? Qin Wan was too lazy to pay attention to Su Yun. She reached out and twisted Guagua's ear. Little thing, what nonsense did you say to Su Xiaoran? What do you mean I'm living with your father? Everyone was speechless. The three tigers of Southern City did not expect the man in front of them to be so familiar with the violent policewoman, Qin Wan. At first, they did not take Su Yun seriously. Now that they thought about it, they were really looking for trouble. The three of them were completely shocked. No wonder there was an old saying, you can't judge a book by its cover. Su Yun's back was covered in cold sweat. F***ck, was this how the little devil helped him get his beautiful teacher? Ruan Qingshuang also heard the commotion and came downstairs. She looked at Guagua with a sad face. She really could not do anything to her. Sister Qingshuang, the station is giving out bonuses today. It's my treat. What do you want to eat? Just tell me. Qin Wan saw Ruan Qingshuang and smiled. I also made an appointment with Guagua's homeroom teacher. Everyone can sit together and get to know each other. I forgot to tell you, Miss Su is my friend. Ruan Qingshuang was surprised by the news. Really? Then it should be my treat. I'll call the station first. Qin Wan took out her phone and dialed the number of the Wenhui District Police Station. Xiao Wu. Bring a few people to the medicinal cuisine restaurant. There are some troublemakers here. Let me count. 30. Okay, hurry up. Su Yun was in pain. His strong men were taken away just like that. Have you thought of what to eat? Qin Wan hung up the phone and smiled at Ruan Qingxuang and Guagua. Guagua touched her chin and racked her brains. Eat. What should I eat? If the 3 tigers of Southern City were stunned just now, they were definitely shocked to the point that there was nothing left of them. Sister Shuang was indeed an unimaginable big sister. Not only did she have Su Yun and Cho Yun, but even the police beauty, Qin Wan called her sister and even invited her to a meal. Dan Hongning suddenly had an idea and said carefully, "Why don't we go to my Doluo city in Hong Kong and Macau to eat?" Guagua's eyes lit up. Is there seafood? Fresh sashimi? Yes. You can have whatever you want. Dan Hongning quickly nodded. This was a good opportunity. Now, there were a few people in the underworld who didn't want to have a good relationship with police officer Qin. This was also a good opportunity for him to please his big sister. Yeah, let's go to Xiao Dan's place. We can eat whatever we want. Kong Zhong was also very sensible. He knew that if he offended Sister Shuang, he would definitely be in trouble. Not to mention the mysterious person, Su Yun, just a murderous Cho Yun could make him unable to survive. Guagua looked at these unfamiliar faces slyly. She exposed Kong Zhong and Dan Hongning's thoughts with one sentence. Do you want to accompany me? Why are you flattering me? Do you not need to spend money to eat Doluo City in Hong Kong and Macau? Of course. Dan Hongning patted his chest. We can eat whatever we want. Sister Shuang, Police Officer Qin, in the future, you can eat Doluo City in Hong Kong and Macau whenever you want. If I have the opportunity to pour tea for Sister Shuang, it will definitely be my honor. Kong Zhong smiled charmingly. Sister Shuang, please give us some face. Police Officer Qin, it will definitely be an honor for you to go. Ruan Qingxuang was completely confused by this inexplicable situation. These absolutely tyrannical people were actually nodding and bowing to her and calling her Sister Shuang. That's enough. All of you stop flattering me. Su Yun waved his hand impatiently. Since Guagua wants to eat Doluo City, whoever owns the restaurant should hurry up and arrange it. You don't need to accompany me because you have something to do with me tonight. The 3 tigers of Nanqing were stunned and quickly recovered their serious faces. Brother, just tell us what to do. Cho Yun went downstairs and glanced at the 3 of them. She said to Ruan Qingxuang, Sister Shuang, in the future, if you have anything to do, just tell them. They won't dare to not do it. What do you mean? Ruan Qingxuang was still confused. Qin Wan opened her eyes wide and looked at Cho Yun, then looked at Su Yun. Did they want Ruan Qingxuang to be the big boss of this group of big gangsters? However, she didn't dare to say this because she was afraid that Ruan Qingxuang wouldn't be able to accept it in a short time. Soon, Xiao Wu from the police station brought people to take Wei Ming and the gang away. The medicinal cuisine restaurant didn't seem so crowded anymore. What's your name? Su Yun nodded to Dan Hongning. Dan Hongning was immediately flattered. Brother Yun, you can call me Xiao Dan, Dan Hongning. Okay, Xiao Dan, you take Sister Shuang and the others to eat Doluo City. Arrange it properly and send them back tonight. Su Yun didn't hold back. Anyway, Cho Yun had already subdued them, so he could order them around. Dan Hongning immediately accepted the order. Dad, you're not going? Guagua had a look of pity. Miss Su is going. Wouldn't such a good opportunity be wasted? Damn. He couldn't go. Who knew what Guagua would say during the meal that would make him speechless? Su Yun shook his head like a rattledrum. Eat well. Eat as much as you can. Finish my portion. Also, don't talk bad about me in front of your teacher. Su Yun, you're really not going with us. Ruan Qingxuang was a little disappointed. If I go, I'll definitely want to eat myself. Su Yun secretly glanced at Guagua. You guys go. I'll go to the hospital to see Pang Gang's workers. Xiao Dan will take you guys there. Hearing Su Yun say this, Ruan Qingxuang didn't say anything else. Qin Wan rolled her eyes. It's up to you whether you want to go or not. Anyway, I'll only treat you once. There won't be another chance in the future. Sister Wan, he said he doesn't need to pay. Guagua pointed at Dan Hongning. Dan Hongning nodded fiercely. The kid in front of him was the child of his big sister and brother Su Yun. Of course, he couldn't afford to offend him. Yes. Sister Shuang and Officer Qin are going to eat. I'm already proud to be able to eat at my place. Of course, I can't accept money. This group of hooligans. Qin Wan shook her head helplessly. She really didn't know what Su Yun and Cho Yun had done to them to make them so obedient. It should be known that these three people had never fawned over anyone before in the police station. Then let's go. Qin Wan waved her hand. It would be a waste if they didn't eat. Dan Hongning immediately opened the door of his Audi Q5. Sister Shuang, please. Sister Yen, please. Officer Qin, please. Cough. Guagua coughed softly. Dan Hongning immediately bowed and said, Little beauty, please. Cho Yun sat in the front passenger seat. Ruan Qingxuang and Qin Wan sat in the back, sandwiching Guagua in the middle. The five people quickly set off. Only Su Yun, Chong, Xiao Fei, Kong Zhong, and Lu Feng were left in the medicinal cuisine house. Brother Yun, what are we going to do? Lu Feng asked carefully. Do you need manpower? Kong Zhong also echoed. Yes, Brother Yun. If you need manpower, I have dozens of brothers in the sand field. Su Yun smiled slightly and whispered to Chong to disperse Xiao Fei and the other brothers. Then he said to them, Tonight, you guys come with me to the Tropical Rainforest Bathing Center to play. Tropical Rainforest Bathing Center. Kong Zhong and Lu Feng's faces turned green. Isn't that Fan Nanjie's territory? What does this Su Yun want to do? Even if he wants to fight with Fan Nanjie, he needs manpower. Just the few of them. Brother, if you want to play, I can take you to a better place. The hostesses there are much more exciting than the rainforest. Kong Zhong said with a panicked face. Su Yun was speechless. Do you think a handsome man like me needs hostesses? Lu Feng's expression changed. Of course not, but, brother, the bathing center is run by Fan Nanjie. Chapter 46. After Dan Hongning settled Ruan Qingxuang and the others down, he did not dare to waste any more time. He hurriedly drove back to the medicinal cuisine house. Before he went out, he told one of his men to wait for them. Once they finished eating, he would drive them back immediately. Soon, Xiaofei came back with Pang Gang from the hospital. Dan Hongning also got out of the car at this time. Seeing that everyone was here, Su Yun smiled slightly. What do you want to eat? Go take a bath after eating. Kong Zhong and Lu Feng's faces were ashen. Their hearts were filled with an indescribable feeling, as if a bottle of mixed feelings had been knocked over. Brother, it's better to go to my place to eat. Dan Hongning was a little puzzled. He really wanted to stay in his shop and curry favor with boss sister and police flower Qin. Su Yun glared at him. If I could go, I would have gone earlier. Do you think I want to save money for you? Don't talk nonsense. You are the owner of a tofu shop. You must know where to eat. Lead the way. Get in the car. Su Yun's face showed an impatient look. The three tigers of Nanqing instantly felt like they were walking on thin ice. They were all careful and did not dare to talk nonsense. After everyone got in the car, Dan Hongning led the way to an ecological park restaurant. He directly asked for the highest standard of 300 yuan per person, plus 2 bottles of the most expensive white wine. Dan Hongning still did not know why they had to take a bath after eating. He was very puzzled. It was not until the meal that he learned that Su Yun's so-called bath was to go to Fan Nanjie's Tropical Rainforest Bath Center. He almost had a nervous breakdown. Chong told him all he knew. The Tropical Rainforest Bath Center is Fan Nongjie's painstaking effort. It is said that he spent a lot of money to open this bath center. Every night, he will go to the VIP box on the 4th floor of the bath center to relax. Anyway, it would be a waste if he did not play with his own lady. Get to the point. Su Yun knocked on the table. Yes. Chong's face was embarrassed for a moment. He continued, Fan Nongjie has a lot of thugs in his bath center. First, they are to watch the lady. Second, they are to prevent customers who want to rob him. Third, he is a careful person. He knows that he has offended a lot of people over the years, so there are many people to protect him wherever he goes. Su Yun nodded. Then let's go to the 4th floor. Chong scratched his head. Well, the 4th floor is the place to look for high-class ladies. Only VIP members are allowed to go up. Also, he has 2 brothers who fight fiercely as bodyguards. Which one of you has a card? Su Yun directly looked at the 3 tigers of Nanqing and did not listen to any bodyguards. Kong Zhong and Lu Feng looked at each other and shook their heads. Fan Nongjie was a black-hearted guy. He had to deposit 20,000 yuan at a time to be a VIP member, and the price of thousands of yuan for those senior ladies was really too high. After all, Hadong was not a big city like Yanjing and Zhongbei, and the tropical rainforest was not a big club like Heavenly Earth. The charge was too ridiculous. When Dan Hongning saw that everyone was looking at him, he smiled bitterly. I don't have one either. I want one, but it's too expensive. The 3 of you drive such a good car, but you're not even willing to buy a card for a bath center? Well, then you can pool the money and buy one for me. Su Yun did not mind scraping some money from the 3 people. Su Yun had spoken. The 3 people did not dare to disobey and nodded. When everyone came to the bath center, the 3 tigers of Nanqing really paid for a high-class membership card for Su Yun. Then everyone went in to take a bath. Although it was said to take a bath, in fact, it was just wandering around in bathrobes. Su Yun soon learned about the terrain of the entire bath center. The 1st floor was the lobby and some offices of the Tropical Rainforest Bath Center. Inside these offices were the 2 people in charge of the bath center and a dozen or so hired thugs. There were also 2 brothels who organized the prostitutes, the so-called chicken head. The 1st floor of the basement was a proper place to take a bath. The decoration was very tropical rainforest flavor. The elephant head spraying water and the resin simulation tree in the center of the pool had a different charm. On the 2nd floor was the rest hall for foot massage, and there were more than 20 small rooms for massage. The so-called small healthcare was on this floor. Japanese massage, Thai massage, and so on were normal. The 3rd floor was the legendary big healthcare. All the people who went there had bad intentions. To put it bluntly, they came for prostitution. The top 4 floors were the so-called senior members' floors. If there was no membership card, they were not allowed to enter, so they did not go up to see. In fact, Su Yun's purpose was very clear. He wanted to find the secret door that could sneak out of the bath center. There was a secret door in the west corner of each floor. Behind the secret door was a hidden staircase. The staircase led directly to the west wall of the 1st floor. Since he found what he was looking for, Su Yun no longer wasted time. Dan Hongning, I'll leave the front door to you. Lu Feng, you'll guard the back door. Kong Zhong, you know the approximate location of the secret door on the west wall. You have no problem with that place, right? Su Yun smiled slightly. I'll give you an hour. Go out and gather your brothers. Secretly guard outside for me. Once there's chaos inside, no matter if it's a guest or a lady, no matter if it's a thug or Fan Nongjie, no one can let anyone escape. Understand? The 3 of them looked at each other. No one knew what Su Yun wanted to do, but they still nodded. Brother Pang, you follow Dan Hongning. Xiao Fei, you follow Kong Zhong. Chong and Lu Feng will partner up. Su Yun finally arranged a supervisor for each of them. I'll leave the outside to you. If anyone runs out of the door, you tell me. These words made the 3 tigers of Nanqing sweat. It seemed that Su Yun did not trust them to that extent. However, this really hit the 3 of them. If it wasn't in front of Su Yun, they didn't want to believe that they could be so obedient. Brother Yun, can you do it yourself? Although Chong already knew about Su Yun's methods, he still asked worriedly. Su Yun smiled and pulled Chong to the side. He whispered, "Do you know why I asked you to watch Lu Feng?" Chong nodded. He's the most unconvinced. You can say that. Su Yun, brother wants to catch a turtle in a jar. All you have to do is let them guard the door. Even if it's a prostitute, you can't let them go. And Chong nodded. After all, Su Yun had never seen Fan Nonjie. There were so many VIP rooms on the 4th floor. How could he know if Fan Nonjie would take advantage of the chaos and escape? Moreover, the police would need to catch the adulterers in bed. After everything was done, Su Yun went upstairs to spend money. The others also went to do their own things. The 3 tigers of Nanqing started to call people when they came out of the bath center. Chong also called a few trustworthy brothers and placed them in the 3 teams. Su Yun went straight to the bath center's 4th floor through the elevator. When the door opened, it was completely different from the one downstairs. "Hello, sir." A beautiful girl with a pure appearance was guarding the elevator with a smile. She bowed to Su Yun professionally. Her thighs under her miniskirt were instantly exposed. The big V-shaped shirt on her chest could almost be described as transparent. The breasts inside were aggressive. "Girl, what are you doing with your clothes that don't cover your body?" Su Yun showed the senior membership card in his hand. "It's my first time here. I don't know much. Can you introduce me?" "Handsome, you really know how to joke." The beautiful girl with a pure appearance didn't look down on Su Yun because he was dressed in flowery pants and flip-flops. She still maintained a professional smile. "Please come here. I will carefully introduce the service to you." This kind of woman didn't care if the man was handsome or not, nor did she care if the man was stylish. Their goal was very clear. It was the senior membership card in the customer's hand. Even if the person holding the card was penniless, there was a lot of money in the card. For them, the 30% commission was the most important thing. As long as someone came to this floor, they would do everything they could to squeeze the numbers in these people's cards. In the corridor on the 4th floor, in addition to 2 neat male waiters, there were all enchanting women with scantily clad clothes. When they saw Su Yun, they all smiled. Someone said to the pure-looking girl beside Su Yun, "Number 18 is really lucky to receive such a handsome customer. Do you want to take your sisters to play threesome?" Number 18 looked at Su Yun and saw that he wasn't interested, so she waved to her sisters, "If the customer needs me, I will naturally look for you." Soon, Su Yun was taken to a huge luxurious room. The huge round bed inside looked like it could roll 3 or 5 people at the same time. "Handsome, do you think it's okay for me to serve you?" The innocent-looking girl number 18 closed the door and instantly twisted her graceful body. Su Yun clicked his tongue in praise. Really exciting. The young ladies of this place are different from the pheasants in the hair-washing room on Bowen Street. They have temperament at first glance. Maybe they have a university degree. Okay, I'll take you. Number 18 closed the door, then let's do it one by one, okay? By the way, has Fan Nonjie come? Su Yun lay down on the bed. He's your boss. Number 18 was startled. Do you know Boss Fan? I don't know him. Su Yun nodded and waved the senior membership card in his hand. Doesn't he come every day? I want to get to know him. I spent so much money here, so I can ask him for a cigarette. Number 18 covered her mouth and laughed. Handsome, you really know how to joke. Of course, Boss Fan is not such a stingy person, but he can't come at this time. It should be half an hour. Half an hour. Su Yun looked up at the hanging watch in the room. It was now 8:30. Handsome, then let's do Star Wars first, okay? Number 18 smiled coquettishly and held down a pair of breasts with both hands. This is my service to you. It's free. F***CK. Su Yun thought, this place is definitely black enough. They even charge a separate fee for breasts? Alas, looking at number 18 who looks so pure and innocent, it's really a waste of her youth. I don't know whose child she is. If her family knows, they will definitely be heartbroken. Just at the moment when the pure-looking girl threw herself on Su-yun's hand chopped her cervical vertebra. Number 18's eyes turned black, and her body directly pressed on Su-yun's body without any support. Although soft, it was really heavy. Su-yun got up and turned the pure-looking girl off his body. He took a deep breath. Half an hour was very difficult to endure. If he didn't knock out such a seductress, he was really afraid that he wouldn't be able to control himself and wouldn't be able to keep his purity. Chapter 47. Half an hour passed quickly, and Su-yun paid close attention to the sounds outside the room. Finally, he heard a few women softly greeting him, "Hello, Boss Fan." Then, a man cursed in a hoarse voice, "Mother ****. I'm going to deal with that little b***** tch at the police station sooner or later. How dare she kidnap my people? She doesn't know her place." Su-yun's expression was cold. Of course, he knew who the little b**** tch at the police station was. It seemed that the news of Wei Weiming and the others being taken away by Qin Wan soon reached Fan Nonjie's ears. "Brother Jie, is Wei Ming too careless? How could he offend that Qin girl?" A woman's voice was sharp and harsh, like the sound of a blade cutting across a table. Fan Nonjie said coldly, "I've told him several times to avoid that little b*** tch surnamed Qin. It's impossible for him not to listen to me. It seems that little b** tch surnamed Qin has her eyes on my saber and axe gang after taking over the 4th Wolf Gang." Hearing Fan Nonjie's words, the woman couldn't help but take a deep breath. "Brother Jie, what should we do? Should we find a way to ask the police to make an exception?" "It's useless." Fan Nonjie gritted his teeth. "Because the director of the Municipal Public Security Bureau is a person who doesn't listen to reason or force. I've sent gifts many times and they've all rejected me. It's not as simple as we think. Brother Jie, there's no leader who doesn't accept gifts, just like there's no cat that doesn't eat fish. I think you haven't found the trick, right?" The woman laughed sinisterly. "Why don't you let me try?" Fan Nonjie spat and scolded, "Get out of here. What else can it be ***tch like you do besides spreading your legs?" "Humph, it seems that after today, I'll have to close the bathing center for a few days. If the police want to make things difficult for me, this is the only place where they can find evidence to convict me." "Convict? Ha ha ha, Brother Jie, this is a big crime for organizing young girls to sell their bodies. They are still underage." The woman's voice gave Su-yun goosebumps. "Then let me have a taste of what it's like to be underage," Fan Nonjie said and laughed. Then, Su-yun heard the sound of the door closing. Su-yun looked up at his watch. It had been 50 minutes since he gave the order to Chong and the 3 tigers of Nanqing. They should be ready by now. Thinking of this, Su-yun rubbed his fists and cracked his neck. Today, he would let Fan Nonjie know who he could mess with and who he could not. Su-yun pushed open the door and happened to bump into a passing waiter. The waiter was slightly startled. "What can I do for you?" Before he could finish, Su-yun slapped the waiter's head against the wall and knocked him unconscious. This move was too quick. Several young ladies in the corridor on the 4th floor stopped and looked at Su-yun. Su-yun said lightly, "Which room is Fan Nonjie in?" As soon as the voice fell, the young ladies screamed and fled to their rooms. 2 people came out of a storage room next to the elevator. One of them was a burly man, and the other was a rude and unreasonable-looking young man. Both of them didn't look like good people. Both of them had cold smiles on their faces as they walked towards Su-yun ferociously. "How dare you say Brother Jie's name?" The rude and unreasonable young man sneered. Suddenly, a silver light flashed, and with a whoosh, a pure steel rod appeared in the young man's hand. He did not hesitate to swing the rod in his hand and smashed it towards Su-yun's forehead. Su-yun dodged slightly to the side, and with a move of blade snatching empty-handed, he snatched the staff. Suddenly, a muffled thud rang out, as the staff that Su-yun had snatched from him had smashed onto the young man's head. Blood silently flowed down from his forehead, and the young man fell straight to the ground without uttering a single word. The other burly man was not willing to let this happen. He suddenly pulled out his fist and rushed forward. His fist carried a fierce wind as if 10,000 horses were galloping. Su Yun casually threw away the rod in his hand and raised his hand to block. The burly man's fist was firmly held by Su Yun with one hand. He could not move even an inch. The burly man's heart skipped a beat. He looked up and saw a harmless smiling face looking at him. Without waiting for the burly man to react, Su Yun's fist carried a piercingly cold gust of wind and smashed the burly man's nose with an unstoppable force, causing his face to split open. His entire lips were badly mutilated, and countless teeth fell out. The burly man covered his face and screamed. Su Yun mercilessly followed up and kicked him in the heart. The burly man's chest suddenly felt stuffy. He flew back 5 meters and fainted without even making a sound. The young ladies who were hiding in the crack of the door and looking out were so scared that they closed the door with a bang. The few people who had seen Su Yun before were even more frightened. They thought that fortunately, it was number 18 who received him and not them. They didn't know if she had already been killed or not. Su Yun went straight to the room full of young ladies. He knocked on the door and asked, "Which room is Fan Nonjie in?" The young lady inside said in a trembling voice, 408. "What's going on outside?" The woman who was rolling on the bed suddenly stopped twisting her body and looked at the door with a frown. There was obviously a fight outside. Fan Nonjie, who was under the woman, said disapprovingly, "Humph, even if someone dares to trouble me, Wu Fa and Wu Tian will definitely let him die at the door. Ha ha ha, you can rest assured and continue twisting. I'm happy and you're happy." The noise had subsided. Fan Nonjie thought that Wu Fa and Wu Tian must have dealt with the people. These two brothers had helped him a lot. Wu Fa was more powerful and thick-skinned than others since he was a child. Although Wu Tian was not as strong as his brother, he was ruthless and merciless. This was the reason why Fan Nonjie brought these two brothers with him. He was relieved to have them guarding the door. Clang! Before the woman on Fan Nonjie could make a sound, the door was kicked open. A not-so-tall figure stood at the door. He was wearing a bathrobe from the bath center and disposable slippers that he had changed into when he entered the private room. "You're Fan Nonjie." Su Yun only glanced at the naked woman, and then his eyes stopped at the fierce-looking guy on the bed. He had a fierce face, sharp shoulders, eyes, and a palm-sized guanine jade around his neck. It was clear and bright, and probably worth a lot. "You're looking for me?" Fan Nonjie's eyelids twitched. Obviously, he did not expect that Wu Fa and Wu Tian would be the ones who fell after the fight. The young man in front of him looked completely unfamiliar and did not feel familiar at all. Su Yun walked into the room without hesitation. He pulled a chair in the corner and sat beside Fan Nonjie's bed. Fan Nonjie was worthy of being the youth army supported by the big bosses of the other 3 territories. Even if he knew that this uninvited guest had defeated the 2 fierce generals outside the door, he still remained calm. The woman on the bed couldn't stand a man sitting next to her looking at her riding on the man's body. She screamed and wrapped herself in the quilt, wanting to escape. How could Fan Nonjie be willing to be seen naked by a man? He snatched the quilt wrapped around the woman's body and covered himself. The woman ran out of the room naked and screamed like crazy. She ran to the room full of prostitutes. The two confronted each other. Although Fan Nonjie was not yet 30, he had been in the underworld of Hadong City for more than 10 years. He had seen a lot of things, so he still had some momentum. However, after a few seconds, Fan Nonjie could not hold it in anymore. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. The young man in front of him was not an ordinary person. Fan Nonjie had never seen his cold eyes and sharp momentum. Finally, Fan Nonjie could not help but ask, "Who are you?" "Su Yun." "Brother, I don't think we know each other. What did I do to offend you?" Although Fan Nonjie's face did not change, he had to admit that he did not want to offend this person in front of him. Su Yun put his foot on Fan Nonjie's bed. "Who is Wei Ming to you?" "He's my cousin." Fan Nonjie stared at Su Yun in shock. He could not figure out how Wei Ming could have offended such a dangerous person. "That's right. Su Yun stretched out his hand. Your cousin injured 7 of my renovation workers. 30,000 yuan for each of them. Cut the crap and pay up. Fan Nonjie's heart was filled with anger. He had never heard Wei Weiming mention this person in front of him, but this kid in front of him was asking for an exorbitant price. He really looked down on him. Brother, if my people did anything wrong, I apologize to you here. But don't you think you're asking for too much money? Su Yun sneered. Now the price has gone up. 50,000 per person. I'm giving you face. Do you think I'm a coward? Although Fan Nonjie was annoyed, he suppressed his anger. He did not know why, but he did not have the courage to turn on this person. Su Yun ignored Fan Nonjie. He smiled and made a phone call. Have you finished eating? Qin Wan-er and the others had just been driven back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant by Dan Hongning's people when they received Su Yun's call. She could not help but ask, "Where have you been?" "I'm at the Tropical Rainforest Bath Center. Doing healthcare." Su Yun grinned. "My initial estimate is that there are more than 100 ladies here. Do you want to check?" Qin Wan-er immediately understood Su Yun's meaning. "Wait for me." Su Yun hung up the phone and looked at Fan Nonjie with a bright smile. "Do you know who I called?" Fan Nonjie gritted his teeth, but he stressed to himself again and again that as long as all the guests could be safely evacuated, even if the police came, it would be useless. "Since you've turned against me, then don't blame me." Fan Nonjie suddenly lifted the quilt, reached for the ashtray on the bedside table, and threw it at Su Yun. Su Yun did not even get up. He reached out and blocked the ashtray, smiling as he watched Fan Nonjie run away naked. Then, Su Yun calmly took out Fan Nonjie's wallet from his pocket. There was not much money, but he found a BMW car key. Fan Nonjie rushed out of the room and roared, "Run, all of you! The police will be here soon." After shouting, Fan Nonjie was the first to rush to the stairs of the secret door. He didn't dare to take the elevator. If someone cut off the electricity, he would be trapped inside. After he shouted, the whole bathing center immediately fell into chaos. Chaotic footsteps sounded in the corridor. The 4th floor affected the 3rd floor, and the 3rd floor affected the 2nd floor. Gradually, all the way down to the 2nd floor, startled the lovers on the bed. Chapter 48. Su Yun stuffed the car key into his pocket and walked out of the room unhurriedly. The guests and ladies in the corridor were all disheveled. It seemed that Fan Nonjie's business was quite good. No wonder he was in the mood to play every day. Run as fast as you can. Su Yun was too lazy to pay attention to the crowd rushing down the stairs. His men blocked all 3 doors. He wanted to see how they could escape. Seeing that no one dared to take the elevator, Su Yun swaggered up and went all the way to the bathroom on the basement floor to change his clothes. Because of Fan Nonjie's roar, there was no one in the bathroom. Who wasn't afraid of the police? There weren't many gentlemen who came to this place to take a bath in the summer. A few guests who just came in pulled up their pants and ran out. Su Yun walked out of the bathroom and went to the 1st floor. The entire hall was crowded at the door. Dan Hongning held a machete in his hand and stood boldly at the entrance of the bathroom. Behind him, Pang Gang and more than 50 brothers also held their heads high, holding steel pipes and iron rods in their hands majestically. "Whoever dares to step out of this door, I'll chop them up." Dan Hongning waved the machete in his hand, exuding an unreasonable aura. Who said he was only running Doluo City? He wasn't even 18 years old when he started chopping people up. The 2 people in charge stared at each other. They couldn't figure out what was going on. The guests were dumbfounded. How could they have known that they would encounter such a heart-wrenching situation? What was this? Coming out to play was too cowardly. Upstairs, they heard that the police were coming. How did it turn into a gang fight in an instant? The dozen thugs who were originally guarding the bath center were also standing in the hall, but facing Dan Hongning and more than 50 people, they didn't dare to mess around for a while. The leader threatened, "This is Brother Jie's place. You don't want to live anymore, do you?" Dan Hongning made up his mind. I don't care whose place this is. Today, even Fan Nonjie won't be able to leave here. Looking at the situation, some of the smarter ladies had already sneaked to the back door. The hired thugs were also hinting that all the guests should go through the back door. But they didn't know that the back door wouldn't work either. Lu Feng was the most ruthless of the three. Close to 100 people were guarding the back. All of them were chopping swords. Under the streetlights, there was a trace of cold light. Chong did not expect this guy to be able to call over so many people. In his heart, he admired Cho Yun from the bottom of his heart. Lu Feng, such a fierce person, was actually acting like a grandson in front of Cho Yun. Just who was Cho Yun? Lu Feng's men blocked the back door with 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. Even if he didn't say anything, those who came to the back door would all go soft. Who would dare to go out? What was the difference between that and courting death? Dark Clan. That was the only escape route. But even Fan Nonjie couldn't get out of this secret door. Brother Jie, I'm really sorry, I have no choice. Kong Zhong smiled awkwardly. If you want to go out, it's better to go through the front door or the back door. I don't dare to let you go here. Fan Nonjie glared at Kong Zhong. He didn't know where he found a bathrobe and put it on. His voice was full of hatred. All right, Kong Zhong, I, Fan Nonjie, have never touched your battlefield. Today, you're the first to ride on my head? I'd like to see how long you can jump. If I don't kill you, my surname isn't Fan. Kong Zhong would be lying if he said he wasn't worried, but he was more afraid of Su Yun and Cho Yun. Brother Jie, I said I had no choice. Don't hold a grudge against me. Why don't you go to the front door and back door and ask Dan Hongning and Lu Feng if they dare to let you out? You. Fan Nonjie gritted his teeth. He couldn't wait to tear Kong Zhong apart. Go back. Xiao Fei grabbed a knife from Kong Zhong's underling and pointed it directly in front of Fan Nonjie. Xiao Fei was impulsive when he thought of how this person forced his uncle to be so miserable. Fan Nonjie's chin trembled a few times. He didn't say a word. He swallowed his anger and ran to the front door. Mother ***, this is my territory. I don't believe I can't get out. He was ready to take the dozen of thugs and directly break through the front door guarded by Dan Hongning. However, Su Yun wouldn't give him the chance. When Fan Nonjie came to the front door hall, his dozen of thugs were already lying on the ground. Su Yun was impatiently knocking on the table at the front desk, and the girl at the front desk was taking out stacks of money. Dan Hongning saw the scene just now clearly. He had never seen such a fierce person. The dozen of thugs weren't even a fart in front of Su Yun. Su Yun didn't take them seriously at all. They were all taken care of in a few punches and kicks. Although Su Yun's moves were simple, they carried an insufferably domineering aura. His fists smashed into a bloody mess. Dan Hongning was really glad that he made the choice. If he were to become enemies with this person in front of him, he would definitely die more miserably than if he offended Cho Yun. That's all? Su Yun looked at the hundreds of thousands of dollars at the front desk and said with some dissatisfaction. The girl at the front desk was already weak in the legs. Today's turnover is only this much. Fan Nonjie's heart was filled with anger, but when he saw his men lying on the ground, he forced himself to swallow his anger. Brother, as a person, take a step back and you'll have a better life. Take the money, and I'll treat today's matter as if nothing happened. Su Yun looked at Fan Nonjie, who had hit a wall, and sneered. Take a step back? But as a person, you're forcing people into a desperate situation. Without waiting for Fan Nonjie to speak, Su Yun said to Pang Gang at the front door, Brother Pang, come here. Take this money. Treat it as compensation for the hospital workers. It's not much, so don't mind it. By the way, there's $20,000 for Xiao Dan and the other two. They paid for me just now. At this moment, Fan Nonjie suddenly realized why he was defeated today after seeing Pang Gang. However, he couldn't understand how Pang Gang, a pauper from the slums, could find such a fierce person to be his backer. Pang Gang strode forward and took the money from Su Yun. I can't thank you enough. If Brother Yun needs me to do anything in the future, just say the word. Pang Gang won't hesitate even if I have to sacrifice my life. Su Yun just grinned. His phone vibrated in his pocket. He took it out and saw a text message from Chin Wan. My people and I are here. When are you letting your people go? Do you want me to catch them as well? Ha ha. Su Yun couldn't help but laugh. It seemed that Comrade Chin Wan had started to form a tacit understanding with him. He waved his hand and said, "Brothers, let's go. Go back and ask Boss Dan for a red packet. Xiao Dan, take Brother Pang away." At the same time, the sirens sounded. Dan Hongning and the others were shocked. They had to retreat quickly. Brother Yun had already spoken. If they didn't retreat, they would be unlucky if they were caught. He went forward and grabbed Pang Gang to escape. Fan Nonjie panicked. His eyes lit up and he wanted to escape in the chaos. Su Yun wouldn't give him the chance. His figure flashed and he appeared in front of Fan Nonjie. "Run." Su Yun's smile disappeared. He suddenly stopped the panicked Fan Nonjie. With a beautiful knee strike, he threw Fan Nonjie with a terrifying force. Fan Nonjie almost vomited out the food he had eaten last night. A trapped beast would always break out. Fan Nonjie was now a trapped beast. He knew that if he wanted to escape, he had to kill the guy in front of him. Fan Nonjie, whose mind was in a mess, swung his arm and threw an uppercut. Su Yun, of course, blocked Fan Nonjie's uppercut as expected. Then, his own fist hit Fan Nonjie's face. Fan Nonjie's face was covered with blood and flesh. His whole body flew out like a swing and hit the front desk of the bath center. The beautiful cashier was so scared that she quickly squatted down and covered her head. Trash. Su Yun waved his hand and looked around. It seemed that his people had all run away. Chin Wan also appeared with a team of policemen. The guests and ladies who were disheveled were already scared out of their wits. They covered their heads and squatted down. Su Yun whistled to Chin Wan from afar. Then, he pointed at Fan Nonjie who was lying on the ground. Without waiting for Chin Wan to come over, Su Yun had already turned around and walked to the back door. The people at the back door and the Dark Clan had also retreated. Only Xiao Qiang and Xiao Fei were still waiting for Su Yun at the back door. "Brother, you asked Officer Qin to come, right?" Chong asked with a puzzled face. "We can handle it ourselves. Why do we need the police to get involved? Are you stupid? This is called revenge. The police came and changed. We are now a police cooperation den." Su Yun smiled and took out the BMW car key from his pocket and threw it to Chong. "Where is Fan Nonjie's car?" Chongzi and Xiaofei looked at each other. Holy T, Brother Yun is too awesome. He even took Fan Nonjie's car? Soon, Chong found Fan Nonjie's BMW 5 Series sedan. The three of them got in the car and disappeared. "Brother, we're taking the car just like that?" Chong had never driven such a good car since he was young. He was in high spirits all the way. Su Yun hit him on the head directly. "Are you stupid? How can we take this car? Find a place to sell it at a low price. Anyway, Fan Nonjie will be sentenced to at least 3 to 5 years. No one will check where his car went. If you drive it, you will be looking for trouble." Chong nodded. Brother Yun's words were reasonable. The car really couldn't be kept. But this top BMW 535, even if it was a black car, could it be sold for 100,000 yuan? Thinking of this, Chong was so excited that he stepped on the accelerator a little deeper. The three tigers of Nanqing very consciously drove to the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Dan Hongning told Kong Zhong and Lu Feng the scene he saw in the front hall without exaggeration. When the two heard that Su Yun could kill more than a dozen of Fan Nonjie's thugs in seconds, they both had a skeptical look on their faces. Cho Yun heard the sound and came down from upstairs. She asked with a questioning face, "Why are you here?" The three of them looked at each other. "Sister Yen, we are waiting for Brother Yun." Ruan Qingxuang and Guagua also couldn't hold back their curiosity and came down. "Where did Su Yun go? Why hasn't he come back yet? Hello, big sister Shuang. This greeting was absolutely respectful, and it gave Ruan Qingxuang a fright. Guagua was quite proud. Call me Sister Gua. The three of them looked at each other. For a while, they didn't know whether to respond or not. But Kong Zhong still decided to be obedient and smiled. Sister Gua. Guagua, don't mess around. Ruan Qingxuang stared at Guagua and then said to the three of them, Where is Su Yun? Brother Yun should be back soon. Dan Hongning said carefully, Sister Shuang, don't worry. A Titanium 5 Series BMW screeched to a stop at the entrance of the medicinal cuisine house. Chong quickly got out of the car and quickly opened the back door. Su Yun got out of the car and walked out. Chapter 49. Ruan Qingxuang and Chou Yen looked at Su Yun in surprise as he got out of the car. They wanted to hear Su Yun's explanation as to why he had called Qin Wanner and asked her to leave, but now he came back alone. Su Yun didn't say anything to them. Instead, he patted the three tigers of Nanqing on the shoulder and said, Gather all the members of the Knife and Axe Gang and the Fourth Wolf Gang. Tell them that this is a place they can't mess with. Yes. Dan Hongning was the first to nod his head in agreement. Su Yun had always been mysterious in his heart, but after seeing him in action today, he was completely convinced. Furthermore, Su Yun's small details had moved him even more. Su Yun had returned the 20,000 yuan that the three of them had paid for the membership card. He was very loyal and did not bully others. Kong Zhong looked at Chou Yun. This woman, who was like the Grim Reaper in his heart, looked at Su Yun with a trace of respect. This was enough to let him know where he should stand. Brother Yun, now let's go back. Su Yun waved his hand. Lu Feng looked at the medicinal cuisine restaurant that had just been renovated and said to Su Yun, Brother, I have a lot of workers. I'll ask them to come tomorrow. I'll do this job. I'll definitely do it beautifully. Su Yun smiled. I've already asked Pang Gang to do it. How can I change people halfway? But I don't mind if you find me some experienced workers. That's good. My hands are sore from shooting nail guns today. Xiao Chong laughed. Before you see me tomorrow, deal with the car. Su Yun finally told Xiao Chong, Okay, let's go. After Su Yun gave the order, Chong and others naturally left. Seeing Chong drive Fan Nanjie's car directly, Lu Feng's attitude towards Chong changed a lot. After all, he was Su Yun's favorite person. Brother Chong, let's find a place to drink? Lu Feng suggested. Dan Hongning heard and also gathered around. Yes, Brother Chong. We'll be together for a long time in the future. Let's deepen our relationship. Forget it today. I still have to do what Brother Yun asked me to do. Chong was a little complacent. In the past, these big guys didn't look at him in the eye, but now they were nodding and bowing to him. How cool. Kong grabbed Chong's arm and smiled brightly. Brother Chong, why don't you give us some face? Let's go to the seafood stall. It's my brother's shop, let's drink until we're drunk. I really have something on. I can't delay Big Brother Yun's orders. To be honest, Chong wanted to go. When he thought that the three tigers of Nanqing would toast him, he felt complacent. However, he didn't dare to delay the matter of Su Yun asking him to sell his car. Isn't it just about the car? Brother Chong, if you trust me, I'll make a call in a while and ask one of my brothers to come over. The price will definitely be higher than anyone you find. Lu Feng patted his chest and said. Chong was stunned. His face was slightly doubtful. Really? He won't dare to earn money from Brother Chong and Brother Yun. Dan Hongning laughed. Let's go. Let's drink. On the second floor of the medicinal cuisine restaurant, Su Yun wasn't idle. He finally explained the situation of those people to Ruan Qingxuang. Ruan Qingxuang finally understood. Su Yun really wanted her to be the boss of those hoodlums. My God, is this world crazy? My mother is a boss. Guagua has decided. If the teacher assigns an essay, I will write this. Guagua looked at Ruan Qingxuang with admiration. Mom, just be it. If my classmates know that my mother is a boss of the underworld, let's see who dares to be rude to me. Su Yun looked at Guagua with a smile. You didn't say anything bad about me to Miss Su during dinner today, right? No, Miss Su asked you why you didn't go. Guagua's eyes suddenly flashed. Dad, I can see that Miss Su seems to be very interested in you. If you can get her, Guagua won't have any objections. This way, I will have someone to protect me in school. Cho Yun got up and said indifferently, Guagua, go to bed early. Then he turned and went back to the room. I'll give you two some time. Guagua was very sensible and went back to her room. Ruan Qingxuang slowly raised her head and looked at Su Yun with suspicion. Su Yun, you weren't joking with me just now, were you? No. Su Yun said casually. How can I be the underworld's big sister? Aren't you making things difficult for me, Su Yun? And I don't want to have anything to do with the underworld. I'm just an ordinary person. As Ruan Qingxuang spoke, she became a little anxious. I just want to sell some medicinal cuisine peacefully and do my own business dutifully. I don't want to be the kind of person who is despised and notorious by others. Su Yun already knew that Ruan Qingxuang would have such a reaction. With her soft personality, it was really a mess for her to be the underworld's big sister. However, Su Yun felt that this messy arrangement might actually be a good thing. Do you still remember how we met? Su Yun said indifferently. I remember very clearly. Although you had been holding it in the end, you couldn't hold back your tears. When those people bullied you, did you feel wronged? Ruan Qingxuang didn't speak. She clearly remembered the day when she met Su Yun. LV Bao brought the gangsters of the Four Wolves gang to ask for money. There were so many people watching, but no one dared to speak up for her. If it wasn't for Su Yun, she really didn't know what would have happened. If it was her, she would have endured it, but she also had Guagua with her. But who dares to treat you like this today? Su Yun continued. Chong said that Dan Hongning, Kong Zhong, LV Feng, none of them are good people. With them escorting you, who dares to bully you? I let you be the big sister, not to let you bully others. I just hope that you won't be harassed by those rotten fish and shrimps in the future. Although what Su Yun said was very reasonable, Ruan Qingxuang still couldn't accept the fact that she was the underworld's big sister. But I don't know how to talk to them. They will do whatever you ask them to do. If you don't want them to do evil, then tell them to lie down obediently. Su Yun smiled slightly. He knew that Ruan Qingxuang's heart was no longer so resistant. Maybe you can try to change these gangsters. Me? Ruan Qingxuang was shocked. Su Yun was joking with her. She could change those gangsters? What a joke. Su Yun nodded. How do you know if you don't try? Ruan Qingxuang still shook her head like a rattledrum. Impossible, absolutely impossible. How can I deal with those gangsters? I can't. Don't you still have me? Su Yun gave Ruan Qingxuang a quiet smile. Ruan Qingxuang's heart rippled. Looking at Su Yun's quiet smile and calm eyes, she finally found her confidence. Can I really? Ruan Qingxuang took a deep breath. Su Yun smiled slightly. Of course, I believe in you. Ruan Qingxuang bit her tender red lips. Looking at Su Yun's heart, she was a little troubled. But what can I do with them? How can I change them? Dan Hongning has Doluo City, Lu Feng has a construction team, and Kong Zhong has a battlefield. These are all serious matters. Su Yun, isn't our ancestral medicinal cuisine greater than their development potential? Opening branches, franchising, entering hotels, there are too many things you can do. Hearing Su Yun's words, Ruan Qingxuang was so shocked that she couldn't say a word. To be able to make the ancestral medicinal cuisine into franchises and open branches was Ruan Qingxuang's dream. It was a dream buried in the deepest part of her heart. It was a dream that she would only occasionally think of and find laughable. And when Su Yun said all this, it sounded so nonchalant. Could these dreams really be realized? Ruan Qingxuang couldn't believe it. She stared at Su Yun, and her tumbling heart couldn't calm down for a long time. A dream that isn't laughable isn't worth realizing. Su Yun smiled slightly. Ruan Qingxuang's eyes almost turned red and tears were about to come out. A police car stopped at the roadside downstairs. Qin Wan got out of the car, and the police car left again. Someone is back. Su Yun smiled. Sister Shuang, I'm sleepy. I'm going back to my room to sleep. Ruan Qingxuang's mind was already filled with the dream that Su Yun had evoked. She nodded mechanically. Did she really want to be the boss of those hooligans? This question would probably bother her for many days. Qin Wan came back and went upstairs directly. Seeing that there was only Ruan Qingxuang in the living room, she asked, Sister Shuang, where's Su Yun? Su Yun. He was here just now. I think he went to sleep. Ruan Qingxuang looked at the tired Qin Wan. He called you out. Why did you come back so late? Qin Wan glanced at Su Yun's door and said, Today, we uncovered the largest sex trafficking ring in the city. Su Yun gave me the information. He came back first, so I brought all the people involved in the sex trafficking ring back to the station before coming back. Su Yun. Ruan Qingxuang's face was full of confusion. Qin Wan shrugged. It's hard to explain in a few sentences. I'm going to take a shower first. I have to go to the station early tomorrow morning. The surprise interrogation will start tonight. Ruan Qingxuang hurriedly said, Then you should go to sleep early. Do you want me to wake up early and make you something to eat tomorrow morning? Sister Shuang, don't be so polite. I'll feel embarrassed. Qin Wan was still a little girl sometimes. Recently, there had been a lot of incidents in the underworld of Hadong City, which made many people restless. Wenhui District and Hongnan District were the two southern districts of Hadong City. Gangsters were uprooted one after another, which made the underworld of Hadong City restless. 2 of the 3 major gangs had already been destroyed. The only remaining hero society was naturally a little scared. However, Su Yanqing, that woman, had always been low-key. When she saw the situation, she immediately calmed down and bought a plane ticket to Southeast Asia to take a vacation. The loud noise didn't just affect the south of Hadong City. The other districts in the east, west, and north of the city also smelled it. No one knew what was going on. Everyone was worried that this was the prelude to a heat wave, which wasn't good news for them. Chapter 50. There was no need for Su Yun to worry about the renovation of the medicinal cuisine house. Lu Feng brought a dozen experienced workers and handed it over to Pang Gang. Chong also met up with the infantryman introduced by Lu Feng early in the morning. The price of the car was 150,000 yuan. After all, it was a stolen car. No matter how expensive it was, he couldn't sell it in other provinces. After getting Su Yun's approval, Chong also threw the car keys to the infantryman. After driving a BMW for hundreds of kilometers, driving his Citroën was like driving a tractor. Along the way, Chong's mind was filled with the thought of making some money and changing his car. Dan Hongning was not idle either. He was called to the medicinal cuisine house by Su Yun early in the morning. I want to do a pilot in your Doluo city and sell Sister Shuang's ancestral medicinal cuisine. We will provide the recipe and you will find the chef. Su Yun went straight to the point. We will split the profits 30 to 70. You put in the effort and get 70%. Dan Hongning's face was a little ugly at first, but when he heard the 30 to 70 split, he was no longer worried. Don't, Brother Yun. This secret recipe is Sister Shuang's. How dare I take 70%? 30% is enough. At first, Dan Hongning didn't think that Su Yun would split the money with him. He thought that Su Yun was borrowing his place to sell the medicinal cuisine, so he was very hesitant. After all, he couldn't refuse. If he didn't refuse, he would have to pay for the chef. But Su Yun gave him 70% right off the bat, so how could he not be overjoyed? Dan Hongning was happy. He quickly took out the Zhonghua cigarette from his pocket and handed it to Su Yun. The chef is not free. Don't be stubborn. 70% is not much. As long as you work hard, I promise that the profits won't be less than your doluo. Su Yun casually blocked the cigarette Dan Hongning handed over. If you agree, I will tell Sister Shuang now. Brother. 50-50. Let's 50-50. After all, this medicinal cuisine is passed down from Sister Shuang's ancestors. I am just providing a place and a person. 70% is too much. Dan Hongning wasn't someone who had just entered society. He was a wily old fox, and he knew that he had to pay attention to how much he should take. If Su Yun and Ruan Qingshuang were ordinary people begging him to sell the medicinal cuisine in his Doluo city, he would ask for at least 80% of it. However, Su Yun was different. Not only was Su Yun not an ordinary person, but he was also a fierce person who was so fierce that his tongue was about to fall off. Now, Dan Hongning was working for Sister Shuang and Brother Yun. If he wanted to have a smooth life and occasionally make Officer Qin give him face, he had to make Sister Shuang and Brother Yun happy. The best way to make people happy was to make them money. At least, that was what Dan Hongning understood. 50-50? Su Yun raised his eyebrows. This guy is sensible, not bad. Brother Yun, if you think it's appropriate, then so be it. If I take more than Sister Shuang, then you're slapping me in the face. Dan Hongning said with a flattering smile, you don't have to worry about the chef. You also don't have to worry about the promotion. Even if I don't let them eat doluo, I will definitely recommend Sister Shuang's ancestral medicinal cuisine. Su Yun smiled and nodded, then it settled. I'll let little Fei go over to your side to cooperate with you. You have no objections, right? Of course not. I'm more than happy that Brother Yun is arranging people for me. Dan Hongning saw Su Yun smile, and his heart was also dispelled. Brother, I'll give little Fei 3,000. Is that okay? F***ck. My salary is only 1,000. Su Yun was completely defeated. He had boarded Guagua's pirate ship. That little miser, F***ck. Achoo. Achoo. Guagua, who had just arrived at the school gate, sneezed twice. She rubbed her little nose and looked up at the sky unhappily. Cho Yun said with concern, Guagua, do you have a cold? If you don't feel well, go and ask for leave from the teacher. I'll take you back. Guagua looked at the floating clouds in the sky and said calmly, thinking, scolding, and worrying. I sneezed twice. This means that someone is scolding me. Humph, it must be that little fatty. I won't forgive him. Cho Yun frowned. She couldn't understand what Guagua was talking to herself. Cho Yun, sister, you can go back. Guagua waved goodbye to Cho Yun, and then rushed to the school building step by step. Cho Yun watched as Guagua disappeared. Her gentle eyes slowly turned cold. Red Scorpion. Did you come to Hadong City or not? Thinking of this, Cho Yen suddenly had a headache. That guy whose whereabouts were unknown, if he really came here, it would be really troublesome. Cho Yun, who was known as the Violent Foxmaster, had been in the underground world for many years. She had met many opponents. She had never fought with Red Scorpion, but she had fought with Green Ghost, who was much more powerful than Red Scorpion. Cho Yun and Green Ghost's defeat meant that Feng Qiansui was eliminated from the Suong underground world. That man was too scary. Cho Yun didn't know if Green Ghost had broken through the bottleneck and become a real master, but with her strength as a first-class master, she couldn't even last 10 moves against Green Ghost. It was during that fight that Cho Yun was almost killed by the 7 deadly palms. Thinking about it now, Cho Yun still had lingering fears. If she hadn't met Su Yun, she would have died a few days ago. Even if she didn't die at the hands of Mountain Cat, Gong Yu, or Qin Hu, she would have died from internal injuries. Cho Yun couldn't defeat Green Ghost, and Red Scorpion was Green Ghost's #1 warrior. Many people said that his strength was on par with Green Ghost. Obviously, Cho Yun knew that this was nonsense. The underground world relied on strength. If Red Scorpion was really stronger than Green Ghost, he wouldn't have followed Green Ghost. However, even so, Cho Yun was very sure that Red Scorpion's strength was definitely a first-class master. He was more than 10 times stronger than Gong Yu. After all, a second-class master like Gong Yu only managed to strengthen the internal organs, increase the vitality, extend the lifespan by a few decades, have great strength, and have stacking strength in the veins. However, a first-class master like Cho Yun had already opened up the veins in the body. Stacking strength had turned into a wisp of internal strength, and the skill had reached the peak. Obviously, even if they were all first-class masters, there were 3, 6, and 9 levels. Perhaps Red Scorpion was one of those above level 6. Cho Yun knew that even if she used all her strength, she could only barely reach level 5. Now, even if the internal strength of the 7 deadly palms was eliminated by Su Yun and she had the 9 treasures revival pill to protect her body, she could only reach level 2 or 3 at most. Did she really have to rely on Su Yun? Cho Yun had a big knot in her heart. Although she already knew that Su Yun was definitely a first-class master, could he reach level 6 or above? Even if Su Yun really had the strength of level 6 or above, could he really fight Red Scorpion? After all, she had never heard of Su Yun's name in the underground world. However, Red Scorpion was a fierce person whose name shook the world. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been listed as an S-level wanted person by the Hua Xia government. Cho Yun was also a fierce person in the underground world. However, she had never done anything out of line outside of the underground world. Therefore, she didn't bear any wanted orders. A black cloud floated over her head. Cho Yun had a very bad feeling in her heart. This feeling was very oppressive. Cho Yun. Suddenly, a silvery voice shouted, "Did you come to send off Guagua yourself today?" Cho Yun turned around and saw Su Xiaoran dressed in professional attire. "Miss Su, where's Guagua?" Su Xiaoran asked with a brilliant smile. Cho Yun looked in the direction of the school building. "She already went in. Miss Su, I'll be leaving first." After saying this, Cho Yun turned around and left. She kept feeling very uneasy. If she didn't thoroughly investigate the entire school, she wouldn't be able to relax. Enmity. Su Xiaoran still wanted to say something, but in the end, she stopped herself. Guagua's personality was very lively, but this sister of hers was indeed very cold. Su Xiaoran could feel it when she spoke to her. "Forget it." Su Xiaoran faintly smiled and shook her head. Afterwards, she took large strides towards the office building. A beautiful day had begun again. The classroom of the first grade was very lively. A group of people gathered at the back of the classroom to watch the show. "Damn fatty, did you secretly scold me this morning because you couldn't catch up with me?" Guagua's face was filled with displeasure. With one hand on her waist, she pointed at a chubby little boy in front of her. The little fatty heavily snorted. He put down the hamburger in his hand and wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "Feng Guagua, do you know who my father is? If you don't agree to be my girlfriend, I'll tell my father." Guagua's face was filled with disdain. She rolled her eyes. "I'm too lazy to know who your father is. Do you know who my mother is?" The little fatty stared at Guagua several times. "Who's your mother? No matter how strong your mother is, she'll still be afraid when she sees my father. Feng Guagua, be my girlfriend. In the future, I'll let you eat my hamburger every day." After saying that, the little fatty picked up the remaining half of the hamburger from the table and reluctantly handed it over to Guagua. Guagua's face was filled with disdain. "Go, go, go. Who wants to eat this junk food? What I eat every day is my father's personally made medicinal cuisine. It's much better than your lousy hamburger." "So your father is a chef?" "Ahahaha, Guagua, my father is a big boss," the little fatty proudly said. Guagua of course wasn't convinced. In a fit of anger, she reached out and pushed the little fatty. "If you dare to speak ill of my father again, be careful or I'll hit you." "You dare? If you hit me, I'll tell Miss Su." The little fatty wasn't afraid at all. "Okay, I won't hit you. I'll let my mother catch you and feed you to the dogs. Humph, damn fatty. My mother is the boss of the underworld. You're dead. Guagua glared fiercely at the little fatty in front of her. The little fatty was so scared that his whole body shivered. His eyes turned red and he cried. Then, he ran out of the classroom like crazy. Just then, Su Xiaoran came to the classroom. Before she could react, she only saw the little fatty's back. Sun Haoran, where are you going? Class is starting soon. When Guagua saw that Su Xiaoran came, she quickly stuck out her tongue. She turned around and looked at the surrounding friends. She threatened in a low voice, "Don't snitch." The group of friends were all stunned. Who would dare? Feng Guagua had already said that her mother was the boss of the underworld. Everyone obediently sat in their own seats. Guagua, what happened to Sun Haoran? Su Xiaoran walked into the classroom with a puzzled look. Guagua shrugged her shoulders and spread her hands. Maybe he peed in his pants. How would a girl know? Chapter 51. With the help of Lu Feng, the renovation of the medicinal cuisine restaurant was progressing very quickly. Ruan Qingshuang was overjoyed when she saw this. She brewed tea and brought it downstairs, which made the people downstairs feel flattered. At the very least, Lu Feng and Dan Hongning did not dare to drink such life-shortening tea. Chong sold the BMW and drove the divine dragon Little Fukong to deliver the 150,000 yuan to Su Yun. Su Yun did not order it and went upstairs to put down the money. Sister Shuang, Xiao Dan really wants to introduce the medicinal cuisine to his Doluo city. You provide the recipe, and he provides the manpower and land. We'll split the profits 50-50. What do you think? Su Yun was in a good mood. He walked downstairs with a smile, as if he was talking about something very ordinary. Ruan Qingshuang did not dare to think about it. She thought it was just a fantasy yesterday, but today, Su Yun directly let her take such a big step forward. Really? Dan Hongning quickly went forward. Of course, Sister Shuang. If you think it's suitable, then let's do it today. I'll find someone to introduce a few chefs to me. You'll come with me to pick the chefs. You're not joking, right? Ruan Qingshuang's brain was a little confused. What are you joking about? Xiao Dan asked you to pick the chefs. Just go with him. You can't help here. Su Yun waved his hand and said, "Bring the medicinal cuisine recipe with you." Dan Hongning nodded vigorously. Yes, Sister Shuang. Bring the recipe with you. You can choose the chef who cooks to your taste. Ruan Qingshuang was too embarrassed to say that her mouth was now picky because of Su Yun. The medicinal cuisine made by ordinary chefs might not be able to enter her eyes. Go. Su Yun looked at Ruan Qingshuang and raised his eyebrows. Ruan Qingshuang's mind recalled Su Yun's words yesterday. She would go. She wanted to change the current situation. She wanted the medicinal cuisine to flourish. I'll go take a look then. I'll leave the matters here to you. Lu Feng walked out from the crowd of workers. Brother, why don't you go too? I'll keep an eye on this place. Su Yun shook his head. You don't understand Sister Shuang. Sister Shuang doesn't want others to tell her what to do. Ruan Qingshuang's tender body trembled. Su Yun was reminding her to make her own decision. She was the big sister. Whatever she said was right, and no one else could say anything to her. Hearing this, Dan Hongning thought for a while and quickly ran to open the car door. After the two left, Lu Feng lit a cigarette and walked to Su Yun's side. Brother Yun, I think these floor tiles are old enough. Why don't we change them together? The carpentry can be finished today, and there aren't many styles. Change the floor tiles? Su Yun looked at the polished tiles on the ground. They were indeed old. Isn't the cost a bit too high? Lu Feng grinned. Although he was at least 10 years older than Su Yun, he still called him cordially. Brother Yun, what do I do? Do I need to spend money on these tiles? I have a brother who makes building materials. He makes tiles. Branded goods. I just need to say a word and he'll send it to me. Okay, then we'll do as you say. Su Yun wouldn't be polite. He would be a fool if he didn't eat a free pie. I'll ask Kong Zhong to send 2 cars of sand. I'll ask my workers to get some cement from my construction site. Isn't this a small matter? Lu Feng was indeed a small project manager. These things were arranged in an orderly manner. Su Yun was too lazy to think. I'll leave it to you. Thank you for your hard work. After making a few phone calls, Lu Feng walked to Su Yun's side with a dark face. Brother Yun, something happened at Kong Zhong's sand factory. Even when Su Yun saw Lu Feng's dark face, he still had a calm expression. What happened? Someone brought a lot of people and smashed the sand factory early in the morning. Kong Zhong is still inside. Lu Feng couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Listening to his words, it seems like Fan Nonjie's people did it. Su Yun was a little interested. Fan Nonjie was really not simple. Wasn't he caught yesterday? He didn't expect to be able to retaliate. Thinking about it, it was Kong Zhong who brought people to block the secret door yesterday. The first person Fan Nonjie wanted to take revenge on was naturally him. Chong, let's go. Let's go and take a look. Su Yun glanced outside the door. The divine dragon little Fu Kong quietly stopped at the door. F*CK. Where's Fan Nonjie's BMW? Don't tell me you want me to take this? Chong's face was black. Brother, you asked me to deal with the car. I did it early in the morning. I even gave you the money. Did you forget? Su Yun patted his head. My brain is not enough these days. Brother Yun, are you going to go with just the 2 of you? Lu Feng also suspected that his brain was not enough. Although he also heard from Dan Hongning that Su Yun was very good at fighting, but from Kong Zhong's words, the other side had a lot of people who were very good at fighting. Otherwise, Kong Zhong would not be at a disadvantage. Su Yun looked at Lu Feng and suddenly realized. Yes, don't you have a car? You can send me there. Wrangler, this car is not bad. It's a big man's toy. Brother Yun, don't joke with me. I can't stand it. Lu Feng rubbed his chest. He couldn't be stupid enough to go alone. Even if he was going to help Kong Zhong, he had to bring hundreds of brothers. I'll call people. Do you think it's the underworld seeking revenge? Su Yun glared at him. I heard from Qin Wan that the underworld has been strictly investigated recently. As long as they dare to mess around, they will be uprooted. Lu Feng was surprised. But, Brother Yun, your matter. Officer Qin also cares? She's not my wife. Of course, she cares. Su Yun said as he strode to the side of Lu Feng's Jeep Wrangler. Don't dawdle. Let's go. Although Lu Feng was unwilling in his heart, he still gritted his teeth and got into the car. Let's go. At most, he would walk on the line of life and death. Anyway, he had experienced this kind of thing before. This car was much more unruly than many city off-road vehicles. Its performance was unquestionable. Even if it was walking on the muddy roads of the villages, it would still be absolutely good. Soon, Su Yun saw Kong Zhong's river sand field. The scale was not small. However, in the middle of the river, there was a sand-digging boat with half of its body planted horizontally in the river. It was somewhat embarrassing. Even the sand-digging boat was sunk. This group of people was vicious. Although the boat was not a good thing, the price was not cheap. Several vans were parked around the sand field. Lu Feng's heart couldn't help but rise. The number of people on the other side was really not small. A noisy sound came. Xiao Chong was shocked and stretched out his finger. Brother, look over there. A group of fierce big men were holding various weapons and smashing a sand washing machine. The machine quickly fell under the siege of the crowd. However, the group still did not intend to stop. They turned their eyes to other machines. Lu Feng also saw Kong Zhong with a bruised nose and swollen face. More than 20 of Kong Zhong's men were lying on the ground. It was obvious that Kong Zhong had given up. Grease my feet. Go over. Su Yun said lightly. Chong heard a bit of anger in his calm voice. Kong Zhong had helped him yesterday. Su Yun was not the kind of person who only knew how to use people. Helping Kong Zhong today was to return the favor of helping him block Fan Nanjie yesterday. Besides, if Su Yun did not order Kong Zhong to block the door, he would not have gotten into this kind of trouble today. Lu Feng hesitated. What could he change if he rushed down like this? He was already calculating in his heart how many brothers he should call to have a chance of winning. But at this time, Su Yun slapped Lu Feng's right knee. Lu Feng's right foot directly stepped on the accelerator. The Performance King made a roaring sound and directly broke through the restrictions of the steep slope by the river. It went straight to the target scene. It was too late when Lu Feng reacted and released the accelerator. With such a steep slope, even if he stopped the car with his foot, the car still slid in front of the group of stunned big men due to inertia. Su Yun opened the door and got out of the car without saying a word. He looked at Kong Zhong, whose mouth and eyes were bruised. You can't even do such a thing. How can you continue to run your business? Chong also patted Lu Feng and asked him to get out of the car. Lu Feng still hesitated a little before jumping out of the car. Even though Kong Zhong was beaten so badly, he still had a smile on his face. Brother Yun, can't you see that I'm a person who smiles and says good things to everyone I see? There are not many people who find trouble with me. It's my fault. It's my fault for asking you to block the secret door yesterday. Today, I'll deal with these people. Su Yun said and turned his gaze to the group of people in front of him. When this large group of burly men with rude and unreasonable auras saw Su Yun's eyes that were filled with disdain, malice immediately rose in their hearts as they sneered malevolently. What a boastful brat! He actually said that he wanted to deal with them. Who's the leader? Su Yun patted Kong Zhong's shoulder and walked forward unhurriedly. The rude and unreasonable men opposite him also rubbed their fists and palms, as if they were going to ruthlessly trample on this inconspicuous brat in front of them at any time. I'm the leader. A tall and sturdy guy suddenly stood up from the group of big men. His arms were as thick as a city wall. His arms were even thicker than some women's thighs. However, they were definitely not as white and smooth as a woman's thighs. Su Yun was still calm and did not panic. You're Fan Nanjie's dog? I was the one who caused the incident at the bathing center yesterday. If you have anything to say, just come at me. His words caused a huge commotion. The group of fierce and barbaric big men all pressed forward. F*CK, how dare you be so arrogant in front of Brother Shanzi? Brother Shanzi, this brat is looking for death. Let's fulfill his wish. Yeah, if we don't break his arm today, he won't know who you are, Brother Shanzi. The group of people spoke one after another and did not take Su Yun seriously at all. Of course, there were also people who were too lazy to talk nonsense and directly pounced on him. Looking at their posture, it seemed that they wanted to tear Su Yun apart on the spot. Su Yun dodged to the side and sent his fist mercilessly to the man's chin. Blood spurted out of the man's mouth on the spot and he was directly put to the ground without making a sound. This was really terrifying. A few people who wanted to say something ruthless swallowed their words back into their stomachs. Humph! I didn't expect you to be such a ruthless brat. The tall and sturdy man who was called Brother Shanzi casually lit a cigarette. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Brothers, play with him well. When you're tired of playing with him, throw him into the river to feed the fish. Chapter 52. In a short period of time, this group of burly men were all kicked into the river by Su Yun. Everyone was like a drowning dog, their faces full of disappointment and fear. Don't talk about fighting with Su Yun, they were all kneeling down before they could even see Su Yun's punch. Then, they were directly kicked away by a big foot. The cigarette in Shanzi's hand had not even been lit halfway when his men were all wiped out. He saw clearly that none of his men could withstand a punch from the other party. All of them knelt down in one move and were kicked away by a second kick. Lu Feng in the Jeep Wrangler had long been dumbfounded. He was the head of a small construction site and had seen a lot of things. Fighting over construction sites had happened from time to time, but it was definitely the first time he had seen such a ruthless character like Su Yun. At this time, Lu Feng understood why Chong could come alone with Su Yun so calmly. He also finally believed Dan Hongning's words yesterday that Brother Yun could kill Fan Nonjie's men in a second. Kong Zhong looked at Su Yun as if he was looking at a god. There were only doubts in his heart. Is he a human? Fan Nonjie asked you to come? Su Yun walked to the burly man named Shanzi. Shanzi denied and shook his head. No. You are one of his men? You are quite loyal. Su Yun looked at him indifferently. I am not one of Fan Nonjie's men. Shanzi did not avoid Su Yun's gaze, but I have to return a favor to him. Su Yun was startled. You owe him? Shanzi nodded. To tell you the truth, I was sentenced to 2 years. I was just released from the mountain less than a month ago. Last year, my parents died in my family. My sister said that Fan Nonjie paid to bury them. I should return this favor, and he also let my sister work in his bathing center. Brother. Stop talking. In a white van, a girl couldn't help but shout angrily. Su Yun turned his head and looked over. Isn't she number 18 who served me on the 4th floor of the tropical rainforest last night? Shanzi was stunned by his sister's shout. He didn't know what was going on, so he just looked over in a daze. Do you know what kind of job Fan Nonjie wants your sister to do? Su Yun's eyes flashed with coldness. Shanzi's whole body trembled, and his lips trembled. He had no doubts about it at first, but when he said it, he was at a loss. Be a cashier. Su Yun shook his head. The girl in the white van gritted her teeth and pleaded, I beg you, don't say any more. Su Yun ignored Shanzi and turned to Chong. Get a cigarette. Chong was stunned. Brother Yun did not smoke in the past. At this time, Lu Feng quickly took out a Chunghwa cigarette and lit it in time. Su Yun took a puff of the cigarette and thought, if I knew that bastard Fan Nonjie was such a good-for-nothing, I should have let him know the taste of death yesterday. Despicable people who take advantage of other people's difficulties are the most hateful. Shanzi trembled as he walked to the van and said to the girl in the van, Sister, what's going on? The girl cried. Brother, I had no choice, I had no choice. If I didn't give myself to Fan Nonjie, I wouldn't even have the money to cremate my parents. But I didn't expect that he would force me to sell. Brother. Woo. Then why did you lie to me? Why did you lie to me and say that Fan Nonjie is my F***king savior? Shanzi's blue veins popped out of his fist and directly smashed the window of the van. The window shattered and blood flowed out along Shanzi's arm. The girl just cried and couldn't say a word. With your personality, if she told the truth, what would you do? Su Yun put out the cigarette on the ground and choked. Shanzi's eyes were bloodshot and stared like a bull's. I'll kill that bastard. Su Yun stood up and looked at Shanzi. That's why your sister didn't tell you. She didn't want her brother to go in again. She didn't want to endure the pain of not having a family. Chong was touched by Su Yun's words. Damn, Brother Yun is Brother Yun. He's so good. At this time, he lit a cigarette and said something meaningful. Thinking of this, he also took a Chunghwa cigarette from Lu Feng and lit it. In the future, he would not smoke the 7 yuan a box of White General. After Shanzi and his sister hugged their heads and cried for a while, the group of men who were kicked by Su Yun and fell into the water also climbed ashore. They didn't miss anything that they should see or listen to, but they all had mixed feelings in their hearts. Shanzi's sister was ruined by Fan Nonjie, but Shanzi still came in high spirits to help Fan Nonjie. No wonder Shanzi's sister didn't say a word on the way here today. It was as if she had something on her mind. I really deserve to die. Shanzi suddenly shouted to the sky and then strode to Su Yun. Without saying anything, he knelt in front of Su Yun. F***ck. Su Yun jumped in fright and hurriedly took a few steps back. This gift was a bit too much. Shanzi's face was solemn. When he heard Kong Zhong call the person in front of him Brother Yun, he followed and said, Brother Yun, if it wasn't for you today, I, Shanzi, wouldn't know how much pain my sister was in. That bastard Fan Nonjie was beaten up by you. You are my benefactor. If you have anything to say, I, Shanzi, will do it. Su Yun waved his hand. Take your sister and leave quickly. I can't bear to see women cry. And Shanzi nodded, then said to the men who had been beaten up by Su Yun, in the future, Big Brother Yun is my boss, which means he's your boss. We have to take responsibility for the sins we've committed today. You guys stay here and get the sandboat. I'll be back after sending my sister back. Kong Zhong touched the bruised corner of his mouth. These punches were in vain. Shanzi was also a tough guy. At least when he faced Su Yun, who beat up more than 30 of his brothers, he didn't show any fear on his face. With this point, he was much better than the 3 tigers of South City. Su Yun opened the door of the Wrangler's driver's seat and jumped in. Skillfully reversing the car, he made a beautiful U-turn and stepped on the accelerator to keep up. This car with super high off-road performance was like a bull that had seen a red cloth, stubbornly climbing up the steep slope of the river. After the car drove up, Su Yun got out again and said to Lu Feng and Chong, "Let's go. Are you waiting for me to pick you up? Damn, it's hard for 2 people to climb the slope." Lu Feng was distressed. There was a gentle slope next to them. It was just a detour. But Su Yun didn't think so. If they took the ordinary road, any car at this price would be more comfortable than the Jeep Wrangler. Driving this car was not the ordinary road. By the way, Kong Zhong, arrange someone to send me some sand later. Brother Yun's medicinal cuisine restaurant will use it to pave the ground. Lu Feng didn't forget to turn back and tell Kong Zhong before climbing up the river. Okay, send it over in an hour. Kong Zhong grinned. Damn it, he had to go to the hospital first. The teaching arrangement of the bilingual international school was different from that of ordinary full-time primary schools. This was one of the characteristics of this school. It was because you couldn't tell whether it was a language class or an English class. There was only one class left before the end of school. Su Xiaoran was also thirsty. She was especially worried now. Sun Haoran had left the class because he wet his pants and hadn't returned. Guagua was really arrogant in the class. After the class, she was surrounded by a group of people. After all, even Sun Haoran, the little tyrant, was scared to tears. Guagua was, of course, not an ordinary person. However, Guagua's good days didn't last long. After the class, before Su Xiaoran could walk out of the classroom door was pushed open by a big hand. A 35-year-old well-dressed man walked in with Sun Haoran, who had changed into clean clothes. Sun Haoran. Su Xiaoran was stunned at first, then she smiled at the man. Hello, are you Sun Haoran's father? The man didn't even care about Su Xiaoran. He lowered his head and asked, Son, tell Dad, who is it? It's her. Sun Haoran pointed at Guagua with his fat finger. Phone Guagua. Fatty, you're an adult, yet you still wet your pants. You look for an adult when you have a problem. Don't you feel ashamed? Guagua looked disgusted. She didn't feel afraid or guilty because the other party called her parents. The man snorted and pointed at Guagua. Little girl, didn't you say that your mother is a mafia boss? Well, then tell your mother that I will wait for her at the school gate after school at noon. If she doesn't come, don't blame me for being rude. You scared my son? Little girl, you're quite powerful. Guagua frowned and gave tit for tat. It's your son who is a hooligan. He said that he wants me to be his girlfriend. Humph, he doesn't even look at himself. Do you think he's worthy of me? The man was infuriated by Guagua's words. Damn girl, I can strangle you to death with one finger. Do you believe me? Sorry, this is a school. Please pay attention to your words and actions. Su Xiaoran also stopped smiling. She had never seen such a petty parent. He actually squabbled with a child. Sun Haoran's father, do you have to intervene in the matters between children? Get lost. The man was not polite at all to Su Xiaoran. My son was bullied in class. As a teacher, you can't get away with it. After that, the man directly led his fat son and turned to leave, leaving behind the aggrieved Su Xiaoran. The parents of students nowadays were really too much. Their words were too harsh. But what did Guagua do? Su Xiaoran couldn't help but curiously turn to Guagua. Guagua's face was bright. "Miss Su, you're making me embarrassed." Su Xiaoran's face darkened. This little evildoer. It seemed that she should give Ruan Qingxuang a call. If Guagua caused any trouble, she couldn't bear the responsibility. Ruan Qingxuang spent the entire morning at Dan Hongning's Doluo City. Dan Hongning's efficiency was excellent. He found more than 10 chefs who had experience in making medicinal cuisine. According to the recipe and formula given by Ruan Qingxuang, each of them made a portion. After tasting it, Ruan Qingxuang finally chose 3 people. Dan Hongning found someone to make a large colorful banner at the advertising company. It said, "Our shop is releasing a secret ancestral medicinal cuisine. It's a delicacy that clears away heat and reduces inflammation. It's an essential health supplement." Chapter 53. Sister Shuang, what's wrong with you? Dan Hongning asked cautiously when he saw that Ruan Qingxuang didn't look well. He was puzzled. He had met Ruan Qingxuang twice, and this big sister had never been angry with him. Ruan Qingxuang looked up at Dan Hongning and thought of what Su Yun had said to her the day before. She gritted her teeth and said, "Dan Hongning, send me to the bilingual international school. My daughter got into some trouble." Dan Hongning didn't dare to say another word. He immediately ordered the chefs that Ruan Qingxuang liked to stay and the others to leave. Then, he quickly went to the backyard and drove the car. After inviting Ruan Qingxuang into the car, he went straight to the bilingual international school. Dan Hongning drove as fast as lightning and soon sent Ruan Qingxuang to the school. There was still more than 10 minutes before school ended. Ruan Qingxuang got out of the car at the school gate and went to the security room to register. Then, she went straight to Su Xiaoran's office. Since the big sister didn't say anything, Dan Hongning naturally didn't dare to leave. He parked the car in the empty parking space at the school gate, rolled down the window, and leisurely lit a cigarette. Today, Dan Hongning also tasted Ruan Qingxuang's ancestral secret medicinal cuisine. It tasted really good. With his keen sense of smell, which had been in the food industry for many years, this thing would definitely set off a craze in Hadong. Dan Hongning really didn't expect that after meeting the godlike Chou Yun that day, he would actually get a blessing in disguise. Although he had been following her since he was the big brother, he had followed the right person. At least, Sister Shuang and Brother Yun had given him a new way to make money on the first day. Thinking that he had another way to make money in the future, Dan Hongning couldn't help but smile. Next year, he would replace this Audi Q5 with a bigger Q7. A few fast cars suddenly stopped in front of Dan Hongning. A few young men dressed in fancy clothes got out of the cars. At first glance, one could tell that they were ruffians. The few of them raised their heads and swaggered towards the school gate. Dan Hongning was a little speechless. When he was in school, he would go to the entrance of junior high and high school to extort money from students. He didn't expect that these days, the hooligans would come to the entrance of elementary schools. It was really getting worse and worse. No wonder there were so many parents waiting to pick up their children near the school. Soon, the school bell rang, and the entrance of the bilingual international school instantly turned into a wet market. Students who had just finished school and parents who came to pick up their children were in a mess. Some seniors who came to school by car or bike also rushed out of the school. Dan Hongning threw away the cigarette butt and stamped it out. He was paying attention to when big sister Ruan Qingxuang would come out. 10 minutes later, there were fewer people at the school gate. Dan Hongning soon saw Ruan Qingxuang and the beautiful Miss Su, who had dinner at his Doluo City that night, leading Guagua out of the school. However, before Dan Hongning could go up to greet them, the fancy-dressed hooligans from before surrounded them. Seeing this, the scattered parents who were picking up their children quickly pulled their children away. No one wanted to get into trouble, and no one wanted to be the fish in the moat that would be implicated. Su Xiaoran was shocked. She quickly recognized the well-dressed man standing behind the fancy-dressed hooligans. Sun Haoran's father? What are you trying to do? The chubby boy's parent snorted. Teacher, I'm just worried about my son. This wretched girl said that her mother is a mafia boss. I'm just worried that my son's life will be threatened, so I have no choice but to do this. TSK, do you think I'm scaring you? Guagua wasn't afraid at all. She was unhappy when she saw that it was the chubby Sun Haoran's father again. Ruan Qingxuang had already heard from Su Xiaoran in the office. She pulled Guagua behind her and explained to Sun Haoran's father embarrassedly, "The child doesn't know any better. I hope you won't take offense. If the child has gone overboard in any way, I'll apologize on her behalf." In the face of the gentle and well-mannered Ruan Qingxuang, it was reasonable to say that a normal parent would not have any anger. However, this man was not. Instead, he sneered and became even more arrogant. "Gangster sister? You?" Guagua saw that he was looking down on her mother, so she was naturally unhappy. She glared at him. "Be careful with your words." The man sneered and glared at Guagua. He suddenly raised his right hand. "So what if I'm not careful? Wretched girl, I'll beat you to death today." Dan Hongning, who was in the car, cried out. His sister and little ancestor were being bullied in front of him. Wouldn't Brother Yun want his life? He wanted to rush over as soon as he closed the car door. Just as the man's palm was about to slap Guagua's pink little face, a phantom flashed by. Cho Yun suddenly appeared out of nowhere and grabbed the man's wrist. The slap that was swinging over was instantly immobilized. Without waiting for the man to get angry, Cho Yun fiercely kicked. The man's body, which weighed more than 50 kilograms, was directly sent flying several meters away. He fell to the ground and wailed in pain. Cho Yun didn't want things to get out of hand at the school gate. She suppressed her anger and said coldly, "Get lost." Ruan Qingxuang and Su Xiaoran both gasped. They didn't expect Cho Yun to be so powerful. Guagua glanced at the embarrassed man proudly and said in her heart, "The son is stupid, the father is stupid." A few young men dressed in fancy clothes were obviously the helpers that the man had called. When they saw the situation, they were stunned at first, then they became furious and immediately wanted to attack Cho Yen. The little ruffian did not care if this was the school gate or not. "You're all King looking for death." Dan Hongning hurried over and scolded the ruffians. "Who are you with?" The ruffians were about to get angry, but they soon recognized Dan Hongning. The expression on their faces instantly froze. One of them trembled and said, "Brother Ning, why are you here?" The title of the Three Tigers of South City was definitely not for nothing in the second district of Hadong City. The ruffians were absolutely terrified when they saw him. "Do you know who I am? Then get lost." Dan Hongning raised his hand and pretended to slap them. The ruffians quickly went to help their big brother who was kicked down by the woman. Dan Hongning turned around with a worried face. "Sister Shuang, Sister Yen, Miss Su, if I had known, I would have waited for you at the gate. Who knew that this group of bastards would be so blind that they even dared to provoke you?" Cho Yun didn't say anything, but Ruan Qingxuang and Su Xiaoran were shocked. Guagua, the culprit, said to Dan Hongning as if nothing had happened, "Well done. I will tell Dad." "Ha, thank you Guagua." Dan Hongning was immediately happy. This meant that he had done something good in front of Brother Yun. "Call me Sister Guagua." Guagua was a mischievous child. She pouted unhappily. Dan Hongning's face darkened. "Sister Guagua. What the hell? How is this a sister? This is a little ancestor that can't be provoked." The man who was helped up didn't dare to fart again. Of course, he had heard of Dan Hongning, one of the Three Tigers of Nanqing. He really didn't expect that the little girl's mother was really a big sister. Even Dan Hongning nodded and bowed in front of her. Moreover, the bodyguards around the big sister were really scary. A woman could easily kick him over. Now his ribs were in pain. It was probably fractured. "Go back and tell Sun Haoran not to have any ideas about me." Guagua saw that the ruffians were going to take Sun Haoran's father away. She didn't forget to remind them. The man's face was covered in cold sweat. He laughed dryly. I won't dare. I really won't dare. Dan Hongning turned around and put away his smile. Get lost. The ruffians didn't dare to say anything else. They ran as fast as they could with their boss, who had called them here, and got into the car to go to the hospital. This. Su Xiaoran was shocked and uneasy. Wasn't this too exaggerated? Sister Qing Shuang looked like a good person. Was she really a gangster? Miss Su, I'll explain it to you when I have time. Ruan Qing Shuang shook her head helplessly. Alas, the group of abnormal people around her made her feel abnormal too. Guagua thought it was good. At least there was a car to send them home. Dan Hongning was of course happy. He drove the three of them back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant. When they returned to the restaurant, Lu Feng's friends were transporting the tiles. The original tiles of the restaurant had all been broken and cleared out. Isn't this a bit too wasteful? Ruan Qingshuang was slightly stunned. The restaurant was nearly 300 square meters. The floor tiles of this brand were at least 60 or 70 yuan per square meter. It would cost at least 20,000 yuan. Su Yun smiled happily. Such good floor tiles only cost 20 yuan per piece. Who are you kidding? Guagua pouted. Do you think I don't know? This is a first-tier brand. Lu Feng smiled and said, he really knows his stuff. This is indeed a first-tier brand of bricks. Coincidentally, there are only a few of these bricks in this color. Even if he were to transfer the goods, it would definitely not be this color. It just so happens that we can use it, so he asked for a processing price. Guagua looked at the proud Lu Feng and coughed lightly. Call me Sister Guagua. Lu Feng's face immediately turned red. He really couldn't say it, but seeing that Su Yun was smiling and didn't seem to have any intention of blaming Guagua, he steeled his heart. Sister Guagua. Forget it. Don't call me that if you're in a difficult position. Guagua didn't appreciate it. She waved her hand and went upstairs. Ruan Qingshuang fanned herself with her hand. It's so hot. I'm going upstairs to drink some water. Lu Feng, if you want to drink water, there are tea leaves upstairs. Sister Shuang, go ahead. Don't worry about me. Lu Feng was flattered. Chou Yun still didn't say a word. She followed Ruan Qingshuang upstairs. Dan Hongning was stunned. No one mentioned that he helped Sister Shuang to scold the ruffians at noon. Sigh. How is it? Is the medicinal cuisine done? Su Yun smiled. Promote it more and you'll make a lot of money. Dan Hongning nodded quickly. Brother Yun, I'll go back first. Today is the first day of the medicinal cuisine. I'll personally supervise and promote it. Go. Lu Feng saw that it was already midnight and said, Brother Yun, why don't we eat together? No need. The kitchen can still be used. I'll cook today. You can stay and eat with me. Su Yun said lightly. Chapter 54. In the afternoon, the carpentry work was basically done, and the medicinal cuisine restaurant soon entered the construction phase of laying the ground. Ruan Qingshuang could not stay idle either. After Chou Yun sent Guagua to school, she called Su Yun to go to Dan Hongning's Dolua City to see how the chef she had chosen was like. For the next 2 days, Ruan Qingshuang stayed in Dan Hongning's Dolua City. The popularity of the medicinal cuisine had obviously exceeded everyone's expectations, and it did not affect Dan Hongning's Dolua City's business at all. Originally, there were very few people eating Dolua City in the summer, but now that there was medicinal cuisine, it attracted even more customers. All of this was written on Dan Hongning's face, and he was happy in his heart. Su Yun did not stay idle these 2 days. With the 150,000 yuan from selling the car, he let Chong rent a poorly run fast food restaurant in the Hongnan district, which was adjacent to the Wenhui district. The location was not bad, and it did not need to be renovated. It could be operated directly by changing the name of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Ruan Qingshuang did not know about this, and Su Yun did not let Chong tell Ruan Qingshuang. Because Chong had a little brother called Zhao Peng, who graduated from the New Oriental Chef School, Su Yun directly let Chong bring Zhao Pang and Xiao Fei to the Hongnan district to run the branch. Zhao Peng was also quite capable. Under Su Yun's guidance, he could basically skillfully memorize the recipes of a few popular medicinal cuisine dishes in half a day. The taste of the dishes was not bad, and at least Su Yun recognized it. When they heard that Dan Hongning had started Sister Shuang's ancestral medicinal cuisine in Doluo City and had made a lot of money, Lu Feng and Kong Zhong were also eager to give it a try. They both proposed the idea of opening a chain store. They would take care of the shop front themselves, but they only wanted Yuan Qingxuang's medicinal cuisine recipes and secret recipes. Like Dan Hongning, they only wanted 50. They were willing to give half of the profits to Yuan Qingxuang and Su Yun. Su Yun was naturally very happy about this. He didn't need to fork out any money and could just sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor. After Su Yun agreed, they immediately began to prepare. At first, Qin Wan was worried that Su Yun would bring Yuan Qingxuang into the underworld. However, after observing for a few days, she didn't find that Su Yun brought Yuan Qingxuang to do anything illegal. On the contrary, Lu Feng, who used to fight with people because of construction projects, didn't cause any more trouble. Kong Zhong also didn't go to the police station to bail people out. Dan Hongning was completely like a businessman. He didn't bring his subordinates to cause trouble in other tofu shops. Therefore, Qin Wan didn't intervene. Perhaps the three guys that Cho Yun had subdued weren't bad in nature. Of course, although the three tigers of Nanqing weren't bad in nature, they weren't easy to deal with either. According to Brother Yun, they had dealt with the Four Wolves gang and the Knife and Axe gang. Some of them were subdued and obediently became Yuan Qingxuang's subordinates. Some of them were beaten up and ran away from Hadong City. Of course, there were still some people who gritted their teeth and sought refuge with other big gang leaders. A week later, the medicinal cuisine restaurant was finally renovated. Yuan Qingxuang and Su Yun weren't people who cared about auspicious days, so they didn't ask a fortune teller to calculate it. They decided to open for business that night. How could the three tigers of Nanqing not support Sister Shuang's opening? With their connections, many people had heard about Yuan Qingxuang's medicinal cuisine restaurant. The three tigers of Nanqing were convinced that Sister Shuang's opening was auspicious. Naturally, the restaurant was as busy as a marketplace. Flower baskets and so on almost blocked the door of the shop next door. However, the owner of the shop next door didn't dare to say anything because the group of people who came didn't look like good people. Su Yun didn't expect the three tigers of Nanqing to make such a big fuss. He and Yuan Qingxuang had the same attitude. They took the opportunity to publicize and strive for more people to notice the medicinal cuisine. In this way, they could consider the next step of joining the chain. Cho Yun wasn't interested in this. She also didn't like this kind of noisy environment with so many people. However, seeing that there were eyes and ears everywhere, she felt much less uneasy. At least these people could help her notice the appearance of strangers. She had also asked the three tigers of Nanqing to tell their underlings as soon as they saw a man with dark red hair and a face full of beard. Even if it was early in the morning, they had to tell her as soon as possible. Qin Weiner almost called the police when she saw the lively scene in the medicinal cuisine restaurant after work. This was simply a big gang gathering. At first glance, the people who came to support were not ordinary people. Bald heads, tattoos, gold necklaces, these were all signs of the underworld. But after all, this was Sister Shuang's medicinal cuisine restaurant. She had to endure it. Alas, among all the people, the happiest was Guagua. When she sat down at the newly decorated front desk, Dan Hongning immediately put a red account book on the table. Then he took out 10,000 yuan as a betrothal gift. He also asked his underlings to hang a custom-made deer head on the left side of the entrance hall. It was called, "There is a way to make money, dear." Of course, Kong Zhong couldn't be cold. He had to give 10,000 yuan as a betrothal gift. The gift he gave was not bad either. It was a pure copper golden toad with a diameter of 0.5 meter, with a big copper coin inlaid with gold in its mouth. It was quite domineering when it was placed on the front desk. It was quite attractive. Although LV Feng was usually a rough man, he He absolutely put in a lot of effort in the opening of the big sister's business. Of course, the betrothal gift was indispensable. He gave an elephant with a jade cabbage on its back. The meaning was very clear: good luck and wealth. In addition to the three of them, there were many people who had connections through them, or even more distant connections. As long as they were people of society, they wouldn't come empty-handed. Guagua was receiving money at the front desk. Her face was smiling like a flower, but Qin Wan kept rolling her eyes. She felt that these people's money was dirty money. Hearing that the medicinal cuisine restaurant was opening, Chong asked Xiaofei and Zhao Pang to take care of the branch. He also hurried back. Seeing that the medicinal cuisine restaurant was so crowded, he was very excited. The business of the medicinal cuisine restaurant that Su Yun asked them to take care of was very good. It was estimated that they would be able to make a profit soon. Hey, wait! Guagua's eyes were sharp. She directly stopped Chong, who was about to go in for a visit. Chong walked to the front desk with a smile. He looked at Guagua and Qin Wan and said, "Guagua, Sister Qin, what are you two doing here?" Guagua knocked on the account book on the table with a pen. She coughed softly, stretched out her small pink hand, and gently rubbed her 3 chubby fingers. "What do you think I'm doing?" Chong suddenly understood. He quickly took out his wallet. The 5,000 yuan turnover of the branch in Hongnan district had not been deposited yet. He directly put it into the account. "Hey, isn't it too little?" Guagua was obviously not satisfied. She pointed at the 3 tigers of Nanqing and said, "The 3 of them are all 10,000 yuan. Guagua, take pity on me." Chong looked sad. "Look at my car, look at theirs." Guagua waved her hand and said, "Forget it, forget it." "Sigh, they even called you Brother Chong." As soon as Guagua finished speaking, Lu Feng saw Chong and quickly waved. "Brother Chong, you're here. Haha, come here. There's an acquaintance here. Little Boo, who helped you deal with the car last time, is here." Chong's eyes lit up when he heard that. The business of the medicinal cuisine restaurant in Hongnan district was so good, and Brother Yun had promised him 70% of the profits. It was time for him to change his car. He happened to meet a foot soldier, so he wanted to have a good chat with him and see if he could get him a cheaper car to play with. Su Yun's attitude towards these people was very open. Since they were all here, they were all friends. Dan Hongning brought his 3 medicinal cuisine chefs over. She could tacitly agree to Jean Biao playing with women outside, but she would never let Jean Biao keep half a woman outside. Chapter 55. What can you do if we don't move? Su Yun walked out of the kitchen and refused the landlady's request. "You're an old auntie. Don't you know that you have to be kind? Accumulate some good karma for yourself and leave some good fortune for your children and grandchildren." Wang Qing was Jean Biao's wife. She was one of the few people in Hadong City who could do whatever she wanted. The 3 tigers of Nanqing were the best in this group of people, but only in the Wenhui district and Hongnan district. Compared to Wang Xuanqi and Fan Nongjie, they were a little worse. But even those 2 people were not enough in Wang Qing's eyes. Now, Su Yun actually said that she was an old auntie, and even said that she was wicked. TSK, it was obvious that she wasn't going to give her any face. Wang Qing's calm face slowly turned red. She almost gritted her teeth. "Good boy, the person who dares to talk to me like that hasn't been born yet. Auntie Wang, give me a chance to explain this matter." Ruan Qingshuang did not want to offend the landlady. When she rented the house, it was not expensive. She really did not want to move, and she had just spent so much money on renovations. "Explain? It's useless to explain anything to me," Wang Qing said coldly. "Tomorrow, if you're still here, don't blame me for being ruthless." Ruan Qingshuang was anxious. She raised her voice and shouted at Wang Qing, "Listen to my explanation." This really scared Wang Qing. Other than Su Yun and Chou Yun, everyone else was shocked. Guagua had never seen her mother like this. She quickly hid in Qin Wan-er's arms, which made Su Yun jealous. Wang Qing sneered. "You're angry with me? Xiao Ruan, when I rented the house for you, you weren't so angry. It seems that you're all grown up now." "It's not like that." Ruan Qingshuang also realized how loud she was just now and was secretly surprised. "There's no need to explain. She's not here to listen to your explanation. She's here to collect the house." Su Yun stepped forward and shielded the weak Ruan Qingshuang behind him. Even without this reason, she can still find other reasons. After saying that, Su Yun looked at Wang Qing. "Am I right, Auntie? Let's see if you can still keep your mouth shut tomorrow, umph." Wang Qing almost hated Su Yun to the bone. She hated men calling her old the most. With a snort, Wang Qing swung her hand, turned around, and walked out. She got into a white Lexus and left. The originally cheerful atmosphere in the medicinal cuisine house became particularly depressing and gloomy. Ruan Qingshuang seemed to take a long time to calm herself down. She raised an aggrieved face and finally couldn't help but look at Su Yun with tears in her eyes. "Su Yun, what should I do?" "Help me. Of course, you're my boss. If I don't help you, who should I help?" Su Yun was still smiling casually. Then he winked at Guagua and Qin Wan-er. Qin Wan-er quickly ran over. "Sister Shuang, you must be tired these days. Let's go upstairs. By the way, Mom, you haven't checked Guagua's homework." Guagua was also very sensible. After Qin Wan-er and Ruan Qingshuang went upstairs, the three tigers of Southern City and other people couldn't sit still. "Brother Yun, she's the woman of Jin Biao, the boss of Dong Dong. She's not to be trifled with." Dan Hongning frowned. "I didn't expect this to be her house." Lu Feng cursed. F*ck, it seems that Jin Biao and Wang Qing have long wanted to interfere in our southern region. That's right. Kong Zhong also sucked in a breath of cold air. Wang Xuanqi and Fan Nanjie failed one after another. The entire underworld thinks that we have no leader. Although Sister Shuang's name is not weak now, she's still a newcomer. Those bosses won't take her seriously. Wang Qing might have come because she heard about the changes in our southern region. Chongzi finally calmed down. "So, she's really here to pick a fight?" Su Yun's mouth slightly raised. Of course, she came prepared. She wasn't surprised to see a group of people like you gathered in the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Obviously, she already knew about it. Then, she still dares to come alone. Chong gritted his teeth. F*ck, she's looking down on us. She came alone. Do you dare to touch her? Su Yun threw out a very simple question. Everyone was stunned. They swallowed and lowered their heads. Indeed, no matter how arrogant Wang Qing was, they didn't dare to touch her. After all, she was Jin Biao's wife. No one wanted to be enemies with the boss of Dong Hai. Chong didn't say anything for a long time. Brother Yun's words were too direct. It made him lose face. Kong Zhong weakly asked, "Brother Yun, what do we do? Do we have to move as soon as we open?" This question was too cruel. If they didn't want to offend Jin Biao, what else could they do but move? "Brother, we definitely won't move." Su Yun's words were straightforward. "Brother, are we really going to go against Jin Biao?" Lu Feng spread his right thumb and index finger and said with a lingering fear, "Jin Biao has a lot of real guns. He's shot a lot of people." Dan Hongning also withered at this topic. "Our southern region is the weakest in Hadong City. If we really fight, we'll definitely be at a disadvantage. I have 2 homemade guns, but if we use them, the police." Kong Zhong couldn't help but look at the stairs. "Can Officer Qin protect us?" "If you dare to shoot, she'll dare to arrest you. Hurry up and hand over your stupid gun." Su Yun waved his hand. "That's the future. You guys eat and play. This has nothing to do with you." After a pause, Su Yun continued. "Also, no one needs to bring anyone tomorrow. Do you understand? Such courage. It was really convincing. Wang Qing had already come to their door and was going to take the pot tomorrow. Now, Su Yun could still say such words. How could this group of fierce people not be convinced? They didn't even dare to provoke someone, but in Su Yun's eyes, it was still nothing. Sometimes, a person's courage could really affect a group of people. No one knew who went to buy the wine, but hundreds of people surrounded Su Yun and toasted him. They drank for 2 or 3 hours and seemed to have forgotten the threat from Jin Biao's wife, Wang Qing. Chou Yun returned to the medicinal cuisine house after ensuring the safety of the surroundings. At this time, Su Yun was already drunk. After all, hundreds of people were toasting him. Even the god of wine had a limit, but Su Yun was also a human. Enough. Chou Yun suddenly said sternly. If you're not afraid of dying, let him continue to drink. The Fox Venerable's anger was naturally terrifying. The 3 tigers of Southern City looked at each other and then said to the crowd, "Let's call it a day. Everyone has eaten and drunk enough. Sister Shuang needs to rest. Brother Yun is almost done drinking. Let's all go." The crowd dispersed and the medicinal cuisine house finally returned to peace. "Sister Yen, let's send Brother Yun upstairs." Kong Zhong and Dan Hongning propped Su Yun up. They thought to themselves that Brother Yun's body didn't look that stout, but they never expected him to be so heavy. It took a lot of effort for the 2 of them. They even needed Lu Feng to support him from behind. Chou Yun said coldly. There was no need. She walked over and supported the drunk Su Yun with one hand. "You all can go." The 3 of them didn't say any more nonsense and quickly left. Chou Yun took Su Yun upstairs. Ruan Qingxuang and Qin Wan didn't sleep because of their thoughts. Guagua had already gone to bed to argue with Uncle Zhou. Ruan Qingxuang was angry and distressed when she saw Su Yun drunk like this. Qin Wan kicked Su Yun's foot and said, "You are really useless. Why did you drink so much? Don't talk about it. I will get some hot honey to sober him up." Ruan Qingxuang got up and was about to get busy. "No need." Chou Yun said, "I have a way to make him sober up faster." After that, Chou Yun went straight to the bathroom. She opened the door and threw Su Yun under the shower. Without saying anything, she turned on the cold water and left. She slammed the door shut. F***ck. Su Yun shivered from the cold water. Chou Yun actually saw through him. Alas, Su Yun sighed. He had no choice but to pretend to be drunk. Otherwise, he would have been drunk by that group of people. After Chou Yun went out, she said to Ruan Qingxuang and Qin Wan, "Go to sleep. He will be fine in a while." Hearing Chou Yun's words, the 2 nodded suspiciously. Su Yun adjusted the water temperature, took off his clothes and took a comfortable bath. He didn't worry about what the landlady would do tomorrow. Anyway, he would never give in. If that woman dared to play hard, then don't blame him for not being polite. After taking a bath, Su Yun thought of a problem. Chou Yun, this bastard, didn't care about him. She threw him in and turned on the water, but didn't give him a clean change of clothes. Did she want him to go out naked? Alas, Su Yun wiped off the water droplets on his body. He was secretly glad that they were asleep at this time. Otherwise, how could he go out? Su Yun, who returned to his primitive clothes, quickly opened the door of the bathroom, and then tiptoed back to his room. The whole process was smooth. How could he have known that Ruan Qingxuang had left the door ajar and kept an eye on the outside because she was worried? So, Ruan Qingxuang saw Su Yun's every move, every frown, every smile, and every step. Until Su Yun disappeared from his room, Ruan Qingxuang suddenly came back to her senses and quickly closed the door of the room. It was as if a fawn had barged into her heart and was beating non-stop. Just now, she actually saw a naked Su Yun, and she stared at Su Yun until the door closed and he disappeared. When did she become so? Ruan Qingxuang's mind was blank for a moment. "Mom." Guagua suddenly opened her mouth, startling Ruan Qingxuang. "Guagua, why aren't you asleep yet?" Ruan Qingxuang was still in shock, and then her eyes widened. You didn't see anything just now, right? Guagua looked puzzled. What's wrong, Mom? Hearing Guagua say that she didn't see anything, Ruan Qingxuang was relieved. It's nothing. Go to sleep. You still have to wake up early for school tomorrow. Guagua turned over and said indifferently, Dad just came out naked after taking a shower. What's there to be embarrassed about? It's dark and I can't see anything clearly. Chapter 56. The white Lexus drove into a high-end residential area in Wenhui district called Waterfront Upper Courtyard. Following closely behind, a very domineering black Toyota Prado also followed in. The noble Wang Qing got out of the car and looked at the back with love in her eyes. A pompous young man got out of the black Prado. He was wearing fashionable clothes, and his hair was permed in layers. He wore earrings, bracelets, and big pendants. He wore everything that he could wear. He looked like a visual rock star. Mom, do you really want to take over the southern part of Hadong City? The young man got out of the car and walked up to Wang Qing with a smile. Wang Qing smiled and said to her son, Of course. It's always been my idea to let you take over the southeastern part of Hadong City. This way, our Jin family will have 40% of the power in Hadong City. I'd like to see who dares to go against us in the future. The young man smiled bitterly. Me? Mom, are you looking for an excuse to kick me out of the house? Wang Qing glared at her son and said calmly, After Fan Nanjie's failure, there were no more powerful people in the southeastern part of Hadong City. I thought it was time for our Jin family to expand our power, but I heard someone say that there was a new rising star. I was wondering who it was, but I didn't expect it to be her. Who? The young man raised his eyebrows and looked curious. He took out a cigarette from his pocket and lit it leisurely. Wang Qing looked at her son with displeasure, but she didn't care. Do you remember the house I bought when I wanted to set foot in the southeastern part of Hadong City? Yes, I remember. The young man nodded and looked reluctant. Didn't you rent the house to someone else last year? Mom, I came with you. Of course I remember. Wang Qing glared at her son again. I think you remember the woman who rented the house, right? The young man didn't deny it at all. He even started to read a poem shamelessly. Doves and doves are in the middle of the river. A fair lady is a gentleman's dream. I really did like her. Mom, if you hadn't stopped me, I would have. Seeing the anger on Wang Qing's face, the young man didn't continue. Let me tell you, that woman wants to be the leader of the southeastern part of Hadong City. Wang Qing sneered. Do you still dare to look down on her? What? The young man's face changed, and he put away his cynical look. You said that woman wants to take over the Southeast River District? Mom, did you make a mistake? It's that woman. She looks so weak. Wang Qing snorted. I hope I'm wrong, but I went there today. Her medicinal cuisine restaurant has reopened. Most of the capable people in the southeast area of the river went to congratulate her, including the 3 tigers of South City. Hearing this, the young master sneered, Southern City's 3 tigers. Humph, I think it's Southern City's 3 dogs. Tomorrow, I want you to take back the house. Gong Qing indifferently said, Remember from now on, the southeast riverside will be the sphere of influence of our Jin family. If anyone dares to meddle in other people's business tomorrow, then let them know that Jin Biao has an even more ruthless son called Jin Wenwu. The young man revealed a cynical smile. Mom, don't make me sound so scary. I haven't had a girlfriend yet. I'll stay here today. You go and do your thing. I'll call you tomorrow morning. Wang Qing indifferently said, and then reminded him, Go to sleep at night. Don't mess around with your master all day. Jin Wenwu smiled. I know, Mom. The huge Prado drove away. Wang Qing turned and walked into the building. The house here was the same as the door. She had bought it 2 years ago. 2 years ago, she had included the southeast riverside in the sphere of influence of the Jin family. However, Due to the local tyrant Wang Xuanqi's many years of foundation, as well as the new rising star Fan Nongjie's valiant way of doing things, Wang Qing never had a chance. Originally, she had asked Jin Biao to secretly support Fan Nongjie, wanting to turn Fan Nongjie into her family's puppet. However, she did not expect that the western districts Wu Lei and the northern districts Ma Ping Hai were secretly supporting Fan Nongjie. Wang Qing was about to give up on the idea of taking over the southeast riverside, but she didn't expect that Wang Xuanqi and Fan Nongjie would fail one after another. She thought that Su Yanqing would stand up and take over the banner of the southeast riverside, but she didn't expect that woman to suddenly disappear. In the following week, the name Ruan Qingshuang spread throughout Hadong City. Wang Qing couldn't believe that the weak woman who had rented her house last year was the big sister of this new force. Since that was the case, Wang Qing couldn't blame her for being ruthless. If she wanted to take over Hadong City, she had to take over the Wenhui and Hongnan districts first. That night, Ruan Qingshuang barely slept. Her mind was filled with the image she had seen through the crack in the door. What she was most worried about was that Guagua had found out. If Guagua brought up this matter in front of everyone, she would be too ashamed to face anyone in the future. That night, Ruan Qingshuang tossed and turned. She could only pray that Guagua would forget everything that happened the next morning. Ruan Qingshuang didn't feel sleepy until 5 in the morning. She had just fallen asleep, so she didn't even notice that Guagua had woken up. Fortunately, Ruan Qingshuang hadn't woken up. Otherwise, she would have killed herself. After Guagua got out of bed and washed up, the first thing she did was run to Su Yun. "Dad, I have something to tell you, but you have to give me 100 yuan for the information." No problem." Su Yun took out 100 yuan and handed it to Guagua. He was quite interested in this guy's information. Guagua proudly took the money and looked around. When she saw that no one was around, she said to Su Yun, "Dad, last night after you took a shower, you walked out naked. Mom saw everything." She was so excited that she couldn't sleep the whole night. Su Yun was stunned for a long time. Was this information really worth 100 yuan? But this was too scary. He was so careful, but he was still seen by others? "Don't tell Mom. She threatened me in her sleep last night. I can't tell anyone." Guagua patted her chest with lingering fear. She looked like she had lived a hard life. "Is it easy to earn 100 yuan? It's too easy, isn't it?" Su Yun didn't say these words. He grabbed Guagua and said, "Guagua, I'll give you another 100 yuan. Don't mention this to anyone in the future. How about it?" Guagua shook her head very happily. "No, then I'll pay for it. I think Sister Wan and Sister Cho Yun will be willing to pay 100 yuan for such gossip." "Damn. Should I say that you have a good economic brain or that you're born to be a paparazzi?" Su Yun really wanted to bang his head against the wall and die. Of course, it was impossible for Cho Yun to be interested in this kind of gossip. After she was ready, she looked at her watch and came out of the room. She said to Guagua concisely, "It's time. Let's go to school." "Sister Cho Yun, I have something to tell you." Guagua repeated what she said to Su Yun. "I'm not interested." Cho Yun refused immediately. It was not that she didn't want to give Guagua face, but she heard it in the room just now. When Guagua said it, she didn't mean to lower her voice at all. As soon as the two of them came out of the medicinal cuisine house, Qin Wan walked out of the bathroom with her hands on her stomach and laughed. "Ha ha ha, Su Yun, you were embarrassed yesterday and were seen by Sister Frost. Ha ha ha, let's see how you behave in the future." Su Yun snorted and said disapprovingly, "I'm a man. What's wrong? You didn't see it and you're jealous? Just tell me if you want to see it. I'm a very open-minded person. Get out." Qin Wan directly threw the towel in her hand. "You'd better think about how to deal with the landlady." Su Yun dodged sideways. "By the way, the landlady seems to be very powerful. Don't you know her?" "No, I don't know her." Qin Wan shook her head. The eastern district of Hadong City was under the jurisdiction of Jingxian District Police Station and Nantua District Police Station. Qin Wan only knew that there was a boss in the eastern district of Hadong City called Jin Biao, but she didn't know that Wang Qing was Jin Biao's wife. Su Yun shrugged. Then I have to solve it myself. Qin Wan didn't understand what Su Yun meant, and she didn't care what he would do. Because she didn't know who Wang Qing was, she didn't think of the worst. After Qin Wan left for work, the food delivery man also came. Su Yun was busy as usual. He knew that Ruan Qingshuang didn't sleep well, so he didn't intend to wake her up. Maybe this was the best for her. If she fell asleep, she wouldn't have to worry about whether to move or not. In fact, Ruan Qingshuang had already woken up. Even if she didn't sleep well at night, she would have woken up at 8 o'clock in the morning. She didn't go out of the room just because she didn't know how to face it. If she didn't move, what would Auntie Wang do to her? As early as last year when she rented the house, Ruan Qingshuang knew that Wang Qing was not a simple woman. When she met Wang Qing brought 4 people, all of whom were tattooed with dragons and tigers, and there was a foppish disciple beside her, who kept teasing her. At that time, Ruan Qingshuang knew that Wang Qing was a woman with a powerful background. But because she was really optimistic about the location at that time, and the price was reasonable, she gritted her teeth and rented it for 2 years. She didn't expect that Wang Qing would take the house back after only 1 year. Soon, what should come will come. Although Ruan Qingshuang had been praying that Wang Qing would let her go, she still heard the sound coming from downstairs. Yesterday's white Lexus was followed by several kinds of cars, all of which were parked in the open space in front of the medicinal cuisine house. Wang Qing was still in noble clothes, but there was a cynical young man beside her, followed by more than a dozen strong men. Wang Qing walked into the newly renovated medicinal cuisine house with familiarity and smiled at Su Yun, who was waiting for her in front of the front desk. "It seems that you are not going to move as I said?" Su Yun nodded and smiled back at her. "Auntie, didn't I say yesterday that we won't move until the contract expires? If you like the ground and style of the previous store, we will naturally change it back for you after the contract expires." Chapter 57. Su Yun raised his eyes and glanced at Jin Wanwu, who was dressed extravagantly. "Are you trying to scare me? You've got the wrong guy." Jin Wanwu's cheekbone muscles twitched. As the prince of the eastern district of Hadong City, he had never been looked down upon like this. Besides, even if he didn't have Jin Biao, he could still be respected by thousands of people. "Help them move." Wang Qing didn't give her son a chance to continue talking. She waved her hand, and a dozen burly men broke into the restaurant. They came aggressively, as if they were trying to destroy the restaurant. Ruan Qingshuang's painstaking efforts were destroyed by the 4th Wolf Gang 10 days ago. 10 days later, someone wanted to destroy it again. Su Yun certainly wouldn't agree. Now, unless Ruan Qingshuang said she didn't want the restaurant anymore, Su Yun would never allow anyone to destroy it. Not to mention that the lease hadn't expired yet. Even if it had, he wouldn't leave such an unkind landlady. A fierce murderous aura suddenly rolled up like a stormy sea and attacked the group of burly men who had barged into the medicinal cuisine house. The group of burly men instantly felt a bone-piercing chill. Under the pressure of Su Yun's majestic aura, they couldn't even move their feet. This aura was too terrifying. Jin Wanwu's face darkened. Although he also felt a chill in his heart, he didn't lose his fighting spirit. After all, he had been thrown to the underground master by Wang Qing for many years to gain experience. He had seen some of the so-called masters. However, Jin Wanwu didn't seem to know that the so-called masters were also divided into levels. Relying on his years of training, he fearlessly launched a sneak attack and kicked Su Yun's left ear. Su Yun subconsciously blocked Jin Wanwu's sneak attack with his left arm, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He didn't expect this guy to be a little interesting. No wonder the Jin family had the ambition to expand their power. It turned out that they had a son who had learned some skills. After that kick, the calmness on Jin Wanwu's face visibly lessened. He did not expect that his full-strength kick could not even move the opponent a bit. This rustic skinny guy in front of him could actually laugh. Perhaps he was really unwilling to give up. Jin Wonwoo punched again. Su Yun raised his left wrist and casually blocked Jin Wonwoo's fist. Almost at the same time, his right fist blasted out. In an instant, all the explosive power was concentrated on Jin Wonwoo's chest. A burst of pressure made him almost unable to breathe. Su Yun didn't intend to give him room to maneuver. He went straight in and punched Jin Wonwoo's head without hesitation. Although Jin Wonwoo's chest was hit hard, he still kept his head clear and dodged sideways. However, Su Yun changed his fist into a palm and chopped Jin Wonwoo's neck. This chop was so powerful that Jin Wonwoo staggered and fell to the ground heavily. Su Yun did not intend to stop. He rushed forward like lightning and kicked Jin Wonwoo's ribs. Jin Wonwoo flew out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant and fell heavily at the door. A mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth. Wang Qing's face was full of panic. She couldn't believe it. The master she hired for her son was Zhuo Lang, an absolutely powerful person. Moreover, her son had indeed grown a lot in the past few years with Zhuo Lang. She wanted to rely on her son to dominate Hadong City. "I'm going to kill you." Jin Wonwoo, who was kicked out of the door by Su Yun, struggled to get up. His eyes were fixed on Su Yun. He was like an injured beast without intelligence. Even if he was covered in scars, he still wanted to fight to the death. Jin Wonwoo struggled to stand and walked into the medicinal cuisine restaurant. His eyes were vicious. Wang Qing was so shocked that her mind was in a mess. She did not even stop her son from going to his death. "You want to die? I'll fulfill your wish." Su Yun had no intention of playing with him anymore. He thought this guy had some skills, but he did not expect him to not even reach the level of a third-rate beginner. Jin Wonwoo suddenly opened his arms and rushed at Su Yun at an amazing speed. He opened his mouth, revealing a row of unusually sharp teeth. It seemed that he was going to bite Su Yun's throat. As expected, Su Yun's heavy fist, which contained the 100-wisp stacking strength, directly hit Jin Wonwoo's face. His body, which was whistling through the air, flew backwards like a kite with its string cut, and fell to the ground. This punch was the final nail in the coffin. In Su Yun's eyes, Jin Wonwoo was obviously a moth flying into a flame. When Jin Wonwoo was about to bite him, Su Yun thought of a person in the underworld, Hyena. The dozens of burly men's faces changed. The crown prince in their eyes was not an ordinary playboy. Usually, he fought as fiercely as a tiger. He would almost instantly kill the average hooligan. But in front of this person, he did not even have the chance to fight back. Suddenly, the door of Jin Wonwoo's black Prado opened. A pair of shiny leather shoes stepped out, followed by a tall and skinny figure. Wang Qing suddenly came back to her senses. She ran out like a madwoman and picked up her half-dead son. She angrily said to the tall and skinny man in front of her, "Zhuo Lang, I gave you so much money. My son was almost beaten to death, and you only came out now." The tall and skinny man's face was full of stubble. He looked like he had a hangover. "You gave me money to be your son's master. I took him to train. It's normal for him to be beaten. He won't die. I told you to kill the person inside." Wang Qing loved her son very much. Seeing her son beaten up like this by Su Yun, her heart was filled with resentment. She wanted nothing more than to tear Su Yun to pieces. The tall and skinny man's voice suddenly turned cold. "Do you think I'm your family's servant?" Wang Qing suddenly reacted. She didn't have the qualifications to order the person in front of her. She instantly put away her domineering expression and begged, "Zhuo Lang, I'll pay 1 million. Kill the person inside and I'll give you 1 million. Su Yun had already walked out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. He smiled and said, 1 million? Damn, am I so worthless? Then, Su Yun looked at the tall and skinny man and said with some disdain, "Hyena, I advise you not to take this job." The tall and skinny man suddenly trembled. The hangover on his face completely disappeared. He stared at the seemingly insignificant person in front of him in surprise. "Who are you?" It doesn't matter who I am. Su Yun waved his hand and said disapprovingly, but I advise you not to do anything stupid. It's not worth it to lose your life for such a small amount of money. The tall and skinny man was called Xualeng. He used to be a well-known figure in the underground world. He was ruthless enough and was given the title of hyena. However, he disappeared a few years ago. Back then, Su Yun's place had always been in conflict with many underground world organizations. Naturally, he knew a lot of people in the underground world. Hyena had once caused a big trouble in the underground world. After a bounty was placed on his head, he disappeared. Who would have thought that he would be reduced to the point of being a tutor? Humph, I was too lazy to kill you, but you're courting death. Xualang's eyes revealed brutality, like a ferocious hyena. Those who know of my existence must all die. Su Yun's eyes narrowed slightly and a biting cold aura burst out. A mere second-rate cultivator dared to speak such arrogant words. Su Yun certainly wanted to let him know what courting death meant. The soles of Xualang's feet were filled with majestic power. Suddenly, he rushed towards Su Yun like an arrow and aimed at Su Yun's face. That speed absolutely shocked everyone. No one had thought that such a thin and weak body could actually erupt with such a huge power. However, Su Yun was not careless. His figure flashed and easily dodged Xualang's attack. Taking advantage of the momentum, he kicked up Xualang's body, causing him to lose balance. Su Yun suddenly slammed down with his arm. Xualang's tall and skinny body directly smashed onto the concrete floor. When he turned over and wanted to stand up, Su Yun had suddenly grabbed his neck with lightning speed. Not giving him a chance to breathe, Su Yun's right fist directly smashed toward his face. A real expert could see that if Su Yun had only used half of his strength to deal with Jin Wenwu, then he had definitely used half of his strength to deal with Xualang. Su Yun was very clear that although Xualang's strength was one level lower than his, he never had the habit of looking down on his opponents. This was because his master had said that as long as the opponent was an expert who had just entered the door, if you dared to look down on him, he would have the ability to hurt you. Xualang only felt that the pressure on his throat made him unable to breathe. His entire face quickly turned the color of a marinated eggplant. Soon, his retinas were heavily burdened and the blood vessels in his eyes were congested. A stream of heat rushed up from the top of his head. He used all his strength to try to pry open Su Yun's pincer-like fingers. His legs kicked wildly in the air. Even though his jaw was almost dislocated, only a little of the air he breathed in could reach his lungs. Xualang only felt that his internal organs were twisted together and a strong premonition of death arose spontaneously. Su Yun suddenly lifted Xualang up and suddenly raised his leg to kick Xualang's lower abdomen. The nearly 1.8 m tall man was bent into a section and flew out, heavily crashing into the body of the Black Prado. The behemoth was almost overturned by the collision. Xualang collapsed on the ground and coughed violently. He even forgot about the tearing pain all over his body. He greedily took in large mouthfuls of air. Hundreds of millions of red blood cells carrying oxygen broke through the loosened arteries and rushed to his brain, limbs, and all the organs in his body. When he was sure that he was still alive, Su Yun was already standing in front of him. The strong sense of fear suppressed Xualang's fingers and made them tremble. He was not the opponent of the person in front of him at all. The strength of the person in front of him was far beyond him. Didn't I say it before? It's not worth it to lose your life for such a small amount of money. Su Yun said to Xualang indifferently, I won't kill you, but you can kill the woman who almost killed you. Hearing this, Xualang first came back to his senses, and then his sharp eyes suddenly shot toward Wang Qing. His stare made Wang Qing shiver all over. That was a murderous gaze. Wang Qing no longer had that arrogant and domineering expression. Her legs went soft and she almost knelt on the ground. However, if that woman wants to transfer the ownership of this house to me, you absolutely can't touch her. Su Yun changed the topic and slapped Xualang hard on the face. What do you think? Xualang did not have any objections. He nodded and said, Wang Qing was relieved. Her voice trembled. I'll go back to get the property certificate right away. I'll transfer the ownership to you right away. She was facing a monster who could kill a demon-level character in her eyes. Between life and money, Wang Qing did not hesitate to choose life. If she was alive, everything would be fine. If she was dead, what was there to think about? As the saying goes, a bad life is better than a good death. Chapter 58. Ruan Qingshuang finally gathered her courage. She had to stand up and protect her own interests. Even if the other party was not a simple woman, she had to tell her that she would not move. Sister Shuang, you're up. Before Ruan Qingshuang could go downstairs, Su Yun came upstairs. How did you sleep last night? Ruan Qingshuang thought of last night and her face turned red. She panicked and said, It was okay. Why are you here? Where are Auntie Wang and the others? They left. Su Yun said casually. When she heard Su Yun say that, Ruan Qingshuang's face quickly darkened. Did you agree to let them move out? Su Yun shook his head. How could I? Of course I won't move. I'll buy this place. Ruan Qingshuang froze for a long time. She did not understand what Su Yun meant. You buy this place? Buy it. This place will be ours from now on. If you want to open a shop, then open a shop. If you don't want to open a shop, then rent it out. Su Yun did not feel any pressure at all. He looked relaxed. You won't have to deduct the rent from the money you earn in the future. Ha ha ha. I'll go to the real estate lobby later to settle the transfer. Ruan Qingshuang could not take it anymore. She stared at him with her almond eyes. Where did you get so much money? Although Hadong City was not as scary as places like Yanjing and Zhongbei where the housing prices were several tens of thousands per square meter, a two-story house of 500 to 600 square meters was definitely a scary number. It was impossible to buy it without at least a few million. I have enough in my pocket. Su Yun weakly took out 100 yuan. Ruan Qingshuang was worried to death. Su Yun, I'm not in the mood to joke with you right now. Suddenly, Chong's voice came from downstairs. Brother Yun. Brother Yun. Brother Yun. Come down. F***CK. You're squealing like a pig being slaughtered. Su Yun scolded and ran downstairs. Chong was dressed in casual pants, a short-sleeved shirt tucked into his waist, and a pair of shiny leather shoes. He was no longer the little ruffian he used to be. No matter how one looked at him, he looked like a promising young man who was just starting his career. Clothes make the man. Behind Chong was a shiny black Volkswagen Passat with a 67,888 license plate, which made Chong look even more handsome and mighty. Changed your car? Su Yun asked. How much is it? Chong chuckled and raised 3 fingers. 30,000. Yesterday, the infantryman who came with Lu Feng did a black car in the south. The registration and license plates were all fake. The frame number was redone and the engine number was changed. That guy is quite capable. Su Yun looked inside and out. This car was at least 95% new. It was a 2.0T Supreme Edition. If he bought a new car, he would have to pay at least 300,000 renminbi after tax and insurance. Chong got it for only 30,000 renminbi. It was simply too profitable. What about your Shenlong Citroën? Su Yun asked. Chong waved his hand. That broken thing. I originally wanted to sell it to the infantryman. He didn't want to pay for it. He said it took up space. Later, I will find a place to sell it. If I can sell it for 1,000 renminbi, I will sell it for 1,000 renminbi. F***CK. Su Yun poked Chong's forehead with his finger. I, your brother, am still walking. You don't want to send me? Are you going to sell it? Chong was stunned for a long time. He tried hard to understand. Brother Yun was asking for a car from him. Brother, you drive that car? It's too cheap. How about? After making a big decision, Chong said, How about you drive this Passat? I'll drive my Citroën. No need. Let's go. Take me to drive your Citroën. Su Yun didn't care about the car, as long as he had one to ride on a daily basis. Besides, if he really wanted to drive a luxury car, Su Yun wouldn't take a fancy to a street car like the Passat. Nowadays, even the village secretary's car was more advanced than this. Chong responded and took Su Yun home directly. Ruan Qingxuang was speechless. She thought that the medicinal cuisine house would definitely not be quiet today. She didn't expect that there was no one there. Cho Yun sent Guagua to school early in the morning. Qin Wan also went to work. Auntie Wang, who came to collect the house, inexplicably left. Su Yun also ran away with Chong. Ruan Qingxuang was the only one left in the medicinal cuisine house. Fortunately, Ruan Qingxuang used to run the restaurant alone. She had long been used to being busy alone. She didn't panic at all and went directly to the kitchen to wash the vegetables and prepare the ingredients. Su Yun and Chong returned to the shanty town where he lived. Many of the old families in the shanty town sat on the roadside or at the door. When they saw Chong's new car, they praised Chong for being promising and capable. Su Yun, on the other hand, was obviously met with a lot of rolling eyes. He was regarded as Chong's unreliable little brother, and he even drove his car. This Citroën, which was more than 10 years old, drove Su Yun straight to the real estate transaction hall. Wang Qing was indeed honest and trustworthy. She took the real estate certificate and waited for Su Yun there. It wasn't that she didn't want to run, but she knew very well how powerful the person who could defeat Zhuolang was. If this kind of person wanted your life, it would be useless even if you ran to the ends of the earth. Therefore, Wang Qing was very cooperative. Spending money to avoid disaster was the most worry-free way. She finally understood why the weak Xiao Ruan who rented a house back then could become a crazy figure in the southeast district of Hadong district. It turned out that she had such a fierce general by her side. Wang Qing had already used her connections to find an acquaintance and also paid an extra 300 yuan as an urgent fee. Therefore, the procedures were completed very quickly. The tax fees of the real estate transaction were all paid by Wang Qing alone. In the end, Su Yun generously gave Wang Qing 100 yuan. Thank you for your hard work. Looking at the guy in front of her who could easily unify the southeast district of Hadong district, Wang Qing felt a burst of fear. If he wanted to expand his power, the Jin family would definitely be his first choice. She had to go back and have a good discussion with Jin Biao. They had to unite the Wu Lei of the Western District and Ma Pinghai of the Northern District. Otherwise, with the Jin family's own strength, it would be no different from a mantis trying to stop a car. Su Yun was in a good mood holding the brand new real estate certificate. He decided to take this thing out at night and let everyone have a good time. Wang Qing watched Su Yun leave before she dared to leave. She hurried back to the Hanshang district to pack up her necessities. She probably wouldn't dare to go to the Wenhui district for a while. After leaving the Hanshang district, Wang Qing went straight to the city hospital. Her son had been beaten up by that person with just a few punches and kicks. As a mother, she was so regretful that she wanted to commit suicide. How could she have provoked such a person that she shouldn't have provoked? Want to go to the medicinal cuisine house to buy the house? Suddenly, a bone-chilling voice sounded behind Wang Qing. Wang Qing's brain buzzed and she was stunned. Her hands trembled and she directly drove the car into the green belt on the side of the road. Through the rearview mirror, Wang Qing saw a long-haired woman staring at her with a cold and arrogant face. The woman's gaze was as sharp as a knife and the cold blade in her hand flashed with silver light. No. I don't dare. I don't dare to buy the house anymore. Please let me go. Wang Qing trembled all over. The murderous aura of this woman was even more terrifying than that of the pervert who easily dealt with Zhuolang. If you don't want to believe me, you can ask the chef of your restaurant. I've already transferred the house to him. Sitting in the back of the car, Cho Yun frowned slightly. She didn't expect Su Yun to act faster than her. After she dropped Guagua off at school, she immediately asked someone to inquire about Wang Qing's whereabouts. She arrived as soon as Wang Qing arrived at the Shuiyan district. She didn't expect that Su Yun would have already solved the matter. Cho Yun pushed open the car door and walked away with light steps, leaving behind a trembling Wang Qing. Her face was ashen and her heart trembled. She didn't expect that Ruan Qingshuang, who looked like a soft persimmon, would have so many dangerous people around her. It seemed that an earth-shattering change was about to take place in the streets of Hadong City. For the whole day, the three tigers of Southern City were very obedient and no one caused any trouble. Although they really wanted to go to the medicinal cuisine house to see if anything happened, Su Yun had said yesterday that no one was allowed to bring anyone there. Su Yun's words were like a military order to them. If he was not allowed to go, no one dared to go. After 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Guagua returned to the medicinal cuisine house with Cho Yun after school. Guagua was very excited today. Fatty's son Howren, who hadn't come to school for a week, brought a bag of snacks to apologize to her. He also swore that he would never say anything about pursuing her again. Moreover, he followed Guagua around like a little eunuch. Cho Yun was completely relieved after seeing that the medicinal cuisine house was safe and sound. It seemed that the old woman had really suffered a heavy blow from Su Yun. She just wanted to make sure that Su Yun had really robbed the front of the house. Ruan Qingshuang was busy taking care of the business. Su Yun was still cooking in the kitchen as usual. Qin Wan was not used to it when she came back from work. She hadn't done any chores for 10 days. Well, she had to go back to the basic level of the medicinal cuisine house today. After 3 hours, everyone was exhausted. Fortunately, Su Yun had prepared several delicious dishes for them. There was also a super surprise. Look at what this is. Su Yun had already taken out the real estate certificate of the front house as he spoke. Ruan Qingshuang was so shocked that her jaw almost dropped. In the morning, Su Yun said that he had bought the house. She didn't believe it at all. However, now that the real estate certificate was in front of her, what else could she doubt? Cho Yun's reaction was a little less. After all, she had heard the news from Wang Qing once. Now, she just confirmed it. You bought this place? Qin Wan was also shocked. Not to mention that this was a commercial house. Even if the lowest house price in Hadong City was 6,000 yuan, this two-story house with more than 500 square meters would cost 3 million yuan. Qin Wan stared at Su Yun. This guy's outfit was worth only 30 yuan. He didn't look like a guy who could take out 300 yuan, let alone 3 million yuan. Su Yun proudly pointed at the Shenlong Chevalier at the door. Also, Chong gave me the car. I will also have a car in the future. In the future, if anyone wants to go out for business, tell me and I will give her a ride. Everyone was petrified and speechless. Guagua looked depressed. She had no interest in the car at all. She just took the real estate certificate and checked it carefully. Suddenly, Guagua's eyes lit up. The certificate was real. She looked up at Ruan Qingshuang with expectation. Mom, when will you marry Dad? After marriage, this house will be shared property, right? Don't hesitate anymore. Sister Wan and Miss Su are very interested in Dad. If you are late, you won't have a chance. Everyone was petrified again. Qin Wan was full of murderous intent. Guagua, which eye of yours saw that I was interested in Su Yun? See if I don't spank you. Sister Wan, are you angry because I saw through your thoughts? Sigh, women are just shy. What is there to be shy about? Chapter 59. The Wenhui district and Hongnan district of Hadong City were basically under the leadership of the three tigers of Nanqing. Everyone was worried that Wang Qing would take back the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Because of Su Yun's words, Dan Hongning sent one of his men to secretly inquire about it. When they heard that Su Yun had bought the medicinal cuisine restaurant, their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. When Wang Qing bought the front door of that place, it might not have been worth much, but after the city's construction of Iha Square and 3 large residential areas were built around it, the price of the house had definitely soared a lot. Even if they bought it all at once, it would be a bit of a hassle. Brother Yun is really rich. Lu Feng couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Sigh, comparing people to people is like comparing goods to goods. When he first saw Su Yun, he completely treated him as a low-class hoodlum. Now that he thought about it, it was really funny. Kong Zhong frowned. I feel that something is not right. Even if Wang Qing is stupid enough to sell the house, Jin Biao doesn't lack money. It seems that they want to expand their sphere of influence to the south. Why would they sell it? That makes sense. Dan Hongning nodded and said to the man, Are you sure Brother Yun wasn't joking when he said this? The man shook his head. I don't know about this. Right, my cousin works in the real estate industry. I'll call her and ask. Maybe she knows. Kong Zhong thought of this and walked out of the smoky room to make a phone call. A few minutes later, he came back with a face full of surprise. What? Did you get the answer? Lu Feng and Dan Hongning asked in unison. The whole real estate bureau heard that someone bought the front door for 100 yuan. Kong Zhong's face was full of exaggerated expression. That person was wearing colorful beach pants and a t-shirt with a skull on it. Who else could it be but Brother Yun? F***ck. Everyone was stunned. When the forest was big, there were all kinds of friends. Brother Yun even dared to take advantage of Wang Qing's real estate. Jin Biao definitely wouldn't let it go. Ha ha. Dan Hongning smiled bitterly. Brothers, when we followed Brother Yun, we embarked on a road of no return. Either you go to heaven or you go to hell. Lu Feng gritted his teeth. What can we do now? Since Jin Biao dares to come, we can only fight with him. In Hadong City, Jin Biao was not a nobody like the three tigers of South City. It was definitely not luck that allowed him to dominate Hadong City's Eastern District too. His deeds alone were enough to make the younger generation tremble in fear. 10 years ago, the gunfight on Tianhua Road shocked the entire city. There were dozens of cars and hundreds of people on each side. The boss of Tuoshan District was killed on the spot. The police received the call but did not have the strength to do so. Jin Biao became famous in a single battle, and the Tuochuo Mountain District's Wangpu District was under his control. Everyone in Hadong City should remember the shotgun attack on the commercial street in Tuochuo Mountain 5 years ago, as well as the armed murder in Guangming Cinema in Jingxian District. These were big cases that shocked the whole city. It was the first high-profile attack by a foreign force in Hadong City's East 2nd District. In the end, the boss of a certain force was strangled to death on the 13th floor of the Xiangxi Hotel 3 days later, and his corpse was thrown off the building. Everyone knew who did it, but even the police couldn't find any evidence. Then, Jin Biao's gang besieged a big hotel. In the end, the director of the Public Security Bureau personally stepped in and the hotel's owner agreed to withdraw from Hadong City. Of course, because of this incident, the director of the Public Security Bureau was dismissed and replaced by a new director Chen. Until Director Chen came, Jin Biao's gang did not make any big moves. Now, all the entertainment and bathing centers in East 2nd District were under Jin Biao's influence, and the busiest commercial street in Tuochuo Mountain District was also under his control. These were enough for him to make a fortune. Although Jin Biao did not make any big moves these years, his deeds were still remembered by people. Therefore, he was still the boss of Hadong City, one of the top 3 underworld leaders in Hadong City. He had almost no hair on his head, a flabby face, a slightly plump body, sword-like eyebrows, and a rosacea nose under his eyes. This was Jin Biao, a man who could control Hadong City's East 2nd District. The 50-year-old Jin Biao did not have the murderous aura of a young man. He knew that his wife and children had been defeated in the Wenhui District in the south, but he could still keep a calm face. Boss, just say the word, and I will immediately bring people to kill anyone who dares to go against us in the south. Zhao Sanlai had been with Jin Biao for 20 years. He had been with him since Jin Biao was a nobody. He could be said to be Jin Biao's most capable helper. Jin Biao took a sip of tea and frowned. After thinking for a long time, he said, "Didn't you hear what your sister-in-law said? She met a tough guy this time. Even Wenwu's master was no match for him. Humph, I didn't expect that Wang Qing would kick a stone. Zhao Sanlai's mouth twitched, and he said disapprovingly, Boss, you don't want to hear this, but what can Zhualang do if you and your sister-in-law treat him like a master? I'll shoot him when I'm anxious. Jin Biao took a deep breath and thought of the battle on Tianhua Road 10 years ago. If Zhao Sanlai had not killed the boss with one shot, Jin Biao might be the one lying in the cemetery now. 10 years had passed in a flash. Time really flew. Sanlai, it's not like 10 years ago. Jin Biao said thoughtfully, you know how strict the gun inspection is now. How did Wang Xuanqi in the south capsize? Wasn't it because he hid a gun in that dog farm? If he didn't have those things, the police wouldn't be able to do anything to him, just like how they did to us. Zhao Sanlai was unconvinced. Then let me bring 200 brothers. If I don't King flatten his medicinal cuisine restaurant, my surname is not Zhao. Jin Biao took another sip of tea. You can't bring less brothers. Bring guns too. I want to meet that person and see how powerful he is to be able to scare my woman like that. He knew his wife well, but Jin Biao knew Wang Qing better than anyone else. When he was young, he was in the underworld. Wang Qing had been kidnapped by his opponents and stripped naked, yet she still dared to scold them. Now, she was actually afraid. This was simply a fantasy to Jin Biao. I didn't expect that Fan Nonjie and Wang Xuanqi would capsize because of a woman, and that woman is not Su Yanqing. Zhao Sanlai sneered. The 3 tigers of Southern City didn't follow anyone before. I didn't expect them to follow a woman. Jin Biao drank enough tea, took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth. Zhao Sanlai got up and lit it for him. Call all the brothers who can fight tomorrow at noon. I'll take care of the food in Yutong restaurant. After you're full, come with me to take down the 2nd South District. Jin Biao took a drag of the cigarette and slowly exhaled smoke. What 3 tigers of Southern City? In my eyes, they are just 3 dogs. Zhao Sanlai raised his head and smiled. Fighting for territory was his favorite thing to do. However, ever since Jin Biao took control of the East 2nd District 5 years ago, he seemed to have lost his youthful vigor. Moreover, the newly appointed Director Chen of the Public Security Bureau was not easy to deal with. That was why they had been suppressed for a long time. Boss, leave it to me. You don't have to do it yourself. Zhao Sanlai got up and walked to the front of Guanyu, picked up a bunch of incense and lit it. He bowed 3 times and then put the incense in it respectfully. Jin Biao snorted disapprovingly. What's the use of worshipping? Don't I have to earn my own living? Thinking that his son was beaten half to death, Jin Biao's heart burned with anger. He used to worship Guanyu on the 1st and 15th of every month, but now he said such words. This really scared Zhao Sanlai. What Jin Biao did next shocked Zhao Sanlai even more. Jin Biao got up and walked to the front of the statue of Guanyu, which he had worshipped for 20 years, and kicked it. The entire statue fell to the ground with a loud crash, shattering into pieces. The dust in the incense burner rose with a whoosh, and the whole room was covered in a gray haze. Boss. Zhao Sanlai was so shocked that he couldn't speak. This was a disgraceful thing for a gangster like him. Jin Biao sneered and looked at the broken statue. What's the use of worshipping you if you can't even protect my son and woman? Sanlai, do you know why I don't have a tattoo? Jin Biao's eyes flashed with a cold light. I don't know. Zhao Sanlai was stumped by the question. This was also a question he wanted to know. When they were young, they all had tattoos, but Jin Biao didn't have any. He didn't look like a gangster at all. Jin Biao snorted. Then I'll tell you today. From the first day I joined the gangsters, I swore to be a man who can carry Guanyu. Originally, I wanted to get Guanyu tattooed on my body after I dominated Hadong City, but it seems that I have to bring it forward today. I won't worship you anymore. I want to be Guanyu myself. Zhao Sanlai was so shocked that he couldn't say anything. Come, follow me to the tattoo shop. Jin Biao strode away. The broken pieces lay quietly on the ground. Zhao Sanlai felt a chill in his heart and his whole body shivered. Guan Yu tattooed on the back must be a tough person. Ordinary people couldn't bear it. Regardless of whether it was superstition or not, at least Zhao Sanlai knew that those who dared to tattoo Guan Yu on their back didn't have a good ending. Jin Biao was preparing to launch an all-out attack on the 2nd District of the South. The people in the 2nd District of the South weren't useless. Years of experience told the 3 Tigers of the South that they must be prepared in advance. Otherwise, they would be caught off guard. Of course, they didn't dare to tell Su Yun about this. They were afraid that Su Yun would scold them for making trouble out of nothing. However, Kong Zhong, who put safety first, still made a plan. The 3 Tigers of the South gathered all their brothers, and each of them brought their own underlings. At least, they could ensure the combat effectiveness tomorrow. Lu Feng and Dan Hongning both knew that Jin Biao was not a ruthless person who could endure losses, so they agreed to Kong Zhong's arrangement. Tomorrow, they would gather people and arrange to wait near the medicinal cuisine house. If Jin Biao dared to come, they would let him know that the people in the 2nd District of the South were not soft eggs even if they couldn't win. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.